tab, and yeah, you don't have to worry about watching
Do
the
you not have to
screen.
keep the stream open? If I close it, does it still oh, it still works.
I
I
don't
thought
know.
yeah.
I don't know. Never tried it. Maybe I can try it
No, it seems
with
to be
me.
fine.
Yeah. Cool.
Oh,
Oh,
that's
I've been
helpful.
muted. That's why you guys can't hear me. I'm like,
Yeah.
we're going live, guys. What are you doing?
Hi.
I was muted.
We
Yeah,
didn't
okay.
know.
We're live talking about, I
We're
guess,
talking about
YouTube.
chat. Okay. Hi, chat.
Oh, I knocked it with my drink. I hit the button with my drink when I put it down.
Really? That's
Yeah.
so cool.
It's a good start. All right, here we go. Hi, everybody. Welcome to halftime of the month. We are on halfway time of the month since we had that time of the month 2 weeks ago. So now it's been a week where we've been fine and been ovulating. We were almost spotting, but not quite. And then this week we are now on halftime of the month. So welcome everybody. We've got Sweet, no longer on the top. Oh, there she goes. On my top left over here.
I'm somewhere.
Say hi.
Hi.
We've got Golden Unicorn above me over here.
Hey.
We've got Once Repressed on my left. Are you here? Can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Hello.
Hooray! So today we've got Once is going to present for us this crazy amount of work that she's been doing in following along with the Onision issue, I guess would be the way to put it, about kind of what's been going on with that, where it kind of started, where it's gone, and kind of where we're at. And I think we kind of want to discuss a little bit about, we'll ask you questions as we did when I did my Lily Jean coverage, and you guys and everybody can sort of ask questions and see if there's like anything about stories or anything that doesn't really fit, and then we can kind of just give our opinions on what we think is like healthy about things, what's not healthy about things, what are we concerned about from like this point of view, that point of view, whether it's abuse, drinking, we'll get through it. So Once, would you take us away, please?
All right, I got this. Well, it really didn't take me all that much time to get all this information together. There's a lot of really great sources that you can go and look at yourself. Repsion, I've been following him very closely as he does coverage of the whole Onision drama, and then most of the research I have is in pertaining to his relationships. So I will first start out and say that BDSM seems to be integral to his sexual relationships, but there's no aftercare, no discussion of mutual kinks or desires. Um, it's almost like he tries to have a BDSM relationship without telling the girls that they're in one, if that makes sense. He does not preface.
Gotcha.
Yeah, he doesn't preface anything with what he wants, and he just has a very bad understanding as to what BDSM is in the first place.
So does that mean that
very...
you think that he thinks that it's a relationship and it's a relationship of this kind, and he thinks that's okay because these girls are going along with it without actually having discussed it, which makes it not okay because they don't actually know? Or do you think it's just kind of part of his kink?
It's kind of I'm actually not sure. It's just there are so many like aspects of the relationship, from the contracts down to just how he is in the relationship, that just it looks like he's trying to do a BDSM. Whether or not he tells them might be part of his kink or not, I'm not sure, but it looks like it's BDSM. It really does. And it's not. It's a bastardized version of it, which could also just be called, for a simple sake, it's just abuse. Like, if you don't have consent, if you don't have communication, if you don't have those two things, then it's just abuse. It really is. Like,
Right. So you think that he might be trying to do something that would be a legitimate thing, but he's fucked it up so badly that this isn't okay. You're doing it wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
Sounds like just looking after his needs and he's not worried about the needs of his partner.
Oh,
I think that's
oh,
what it sounds like.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
that is
wants
100%. Yeah.
he wants to
Like he
dominate without being an actual dom the right way.
yes.
Without the
Yes.
responsibility and the
Yeah.
communication that's
Yeah.
involved in a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And just that trust aspect, it's just there's if it's bad. All right. So second, his the second point I had was in pertaining to his more recent videos that he's had out. Just very bizarre. Like he screams into the camera and acts just absolutely insane. Those are not real. Do not take him seriously. To me, when I first saw them, I immediately thought it was a plea to insanity if he ever is taken into court for all of these things. It's him manipulating people. He also knows that it's making him money. He knows what's making him money. And the more extreme he goes, the more money he makes from them. And he got, I think, millions of views on some of those really weird ones. And then the third thing is that I want to give credit to a ton of other YouTubers, Repsion, Chris Hansen, and then more recently, The Right Opinion did a really amazing breakdown of the 5 steps of being in a relationship with Greg. Greg has a formula that keeps these young girls hooked on him. And it really only works with young girls. It doesn't work with fully grown women that know how manipulative men are, and just a little bit of the red flags. When you're young, you kind of ignore those red flags, especially if the person is hot.
Or you
I
don't
don't want to
know
say
that
that
they're
for
red
everybody, but I was
flags.
definitely like that.
Or you're not aware of it. I've noticed that. Or like you don't realize how big of a deal those red flags are. So like you might notice them, but you might brush them off because you don't think they're that important, particularly when you're younger.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I guess that's what happens when an abuser is grooming you. They test the boundaries little by little. And if you accept the first instance where you were abused or, where something wrong happened, they just stretch those boundaries little by little and you become desensitized to it, I guess, at a point. So that's very easy to do with minors and
It's a frog in hot
teenagers.
water. It's a frog in a
Yeah.
pot on the stove, right? You just turn the heat up slowly, and the frog will just not leave the water, and they'll get cooked. But if you turn it on or put a frog in hot water, they jump out.
Yeah, exactly.
Be good to animals, by the way. Don't try that at home.
Yeah,
Don't want to
exactly.
ask how you know this.
Shit! Now PETA's gonna be on my ass.
Oh man,
Heidi,
PETA is so bad.
Steve kicks
Hi,
puppies and Chesh boils frogs.
PETA's
Oh, there we
already
go. That's a
been
good
all
one.
over. If you guys are unaware of the Animal Crossing game, Animal Crossing came out, and PETA's been like, "Is it humane to animals to catch fish? Is it okay to catch bugs?" It's like, what?
In the game?
In the game, it's Animal Crossing. I'm pretty sure PETA just has a hate on for Nintendo because of Pokemon.
Oh, God.
Ilya
Yeah,
Moon
they did
for...
like this weird game of it too.
Oh yeah, it was
A Pokemon?
bizarre. Yeah, Ilya Moon for 5 said, "My other favorite ladies of gynocracy." Gynocracy.
Gynocracy for the win. We're taking over. The kingdom is at hand.
Nice. I mean, I'm down for that. Hot. That's hot.
It does, actually. It does.
Yeah, definitely. All right, and then my last point is that Onision has had several fake contracts and NDAs being signed by most of these underage and young women, and his forums were going on during all of this with active quote-unquote deplorables. And it really all just kind of started there. And by deplorables, I mean active pedophiles.
I have a question about when you say fake. What do you mean, fake as an invalid, or do you mean fraudulent?
They
It's just
weird.
non-notarized, isn't it? It's not notarized.
Yes, yeah, it's mostly non-notarized. Yeah, so he'll go to these girls and be like, "This is an NDA. I need you to sign it." In a couple of the cases, the women were what's the word? Made to sign under duress is what I mean to say. And it's just it's so weird. they weren't ever like saw by a judge, and you kind of have to have a judge say that an NDA is valid, and it's so
I guess
weird. It
you need a
really
lawyer
is.
to go through the NDA to see that it's not like, and
Yeah.
it doesn't push you into some sort of slavery or anything like that. So
Yeah, exactly.
yeah,
And I mean, it's just these NDAs and these contracts and stuff. It leads back to that whole BDSM aspect. A lot of people will have contracts with their subs, their doms. A lot of people like that, which is for some people, it's a very important part of their either fantasy or just how they play or how their mind works. It's just with Greg doing this, it's weird. Oh, and by the way, I want to make this very clear. Gregory Jackson is now James Jackson. He changed his name legally, so which is weird.
okay.
All right, and then that's it for all the stuff I have to say before we get started on my little paper.
Cool, so that's the rundown. What I'm going to do is, while she is going through her points, I'm going to pull her notes up on screen so you guys will be able to follow along as we do. Also, they're not going to be able to see it. These two aren't going to be able to see it because I'm not sharing it on Discord, because whatever, screw it, I don't care.
Screw you, we don't love you.
I don't listen, all right. I don't want to deal with this. But we'll also, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, we're going to be posting a link to this document, so you guys will actually be able to read it after the fact. If you're interested, it'll be posted in the link below, and you should be able to see it now.
Awesome.
Go for it.
So what we're doing is we're gonna start off with Sky, which is Greg's first wife. This was from 2005 to 2010. She appeared in videos. She quit her jobs to help, quote unquote, support him in the new businesses. At some point, he breaks up with Shiloh and AJ's and begins love bombing Sky. That comes into play a little bit later. So we start off with everything seemed fine until he met Shiloh. She kind of noticed sketchy messages between them. A few weeks before Shiloh being 17, Greg was 25.
Sorry, so you
He
mean
thought he
that
was just-
when you mean it's everything seemed fine until Sky met Shiloh?
Yes. So
Okay.
no. So Sky basically it was just like a normal marriage. Everything was completely fine, and then suddenly everything changed as soon as he met Shiloh, and she thought that he was just mentoring a young YouTuber. But at one point he locked himself in his office for 3 days straight, and then weirdly refused to let her use a phone while Seer was sick, and Seer was a YouTuber that collabed with Onision a lot. Seer, there was some weirdness that actually went on between them, and I'll try to get into that later towards the end. So try and remind me a little bit about Seer, because some new stuff happened with that, and the only reason why I don't really want to get into it a lot is because I can't confirm this information anywhere. Like, I can't find it on Onision stuff, Seer stuff. It's just word of mouth. But it's still from a reputable source. So, all right. So Onision and Shiloh would chat for about 8 to 12 hours a day. He would lock Sky out of the room, which they had a joint like computer room basically. Um, and he completely refused to let her use the phone. But then a few months later, he just randomly comes up and states that he never loved her and he wants a divorce from her. This is Sky.
That's
Goes up out of nowhere.
That was fast.
Yeah, she literally has commented several times about how thrown off she was at the time. So unfortunately, then that's when the verbal abuse started happening. Literally days of him just assaulting her verbally, following her around the house, and like he literally wouldn't leave her alone until she signed this bogus divorce document, which is it is towards the end of it, so we can show that here in a second. Let me see. So they separated since December 20th, she signed the contract dated December 22nd, 2010, which is weird because it says giving him the house did not hold up in court, had to pay alimony payments. When they actually went to court, she got $1,000 a month for a year. He threatened to kill himself multiple times, and he called it slavery, which is weird. So,
What?
in the divorce document, she basically is kicked out of the house unless she um, does something. It's there. I just have to like look at it at some point. Um, but basically, he takes the business, he takes the house, but she can live in the house, and then he'll give her $1,000 a month. This is the divorce document until it maxes like 1/3 of his income. So if the $1,000 a month is over 1/3 of his income, he can reduce it to a percentage. It's really weird. Like the whole thing is super sketchy. But she was under so much duress that she unfortunately ended up signing it.
She didn't have any legal advice, so yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
Even if she signed it, even if she signed, even if she wasn't under duress, it wouldn't hold up because she didn't get any, I think, some
Exactly.
legal advice on it, and it wasn't notarized in any way. Notarizing court documents is very important. People just don't realize that. It's like, yeah. Okay, cool. Sorry.
No, you're fine. So, uh, she basically, let me see if she, so she leaves the house. I don't know why I didn't put this down in the document, but she leaves the house for Christmas and she goes to her parents and she just has a complete mental breakdown. And while she's away for Christmas, Onion is visiting Shiloh. He leaves a set of keys so she can get her belongings. And then afterward calls them and accuses them of stealing, sorry. Posts footage online. Fans begin attacking the entire family, not just Sky. It literally gets so bad that she has to file a restraining order. But luckily for her, so luckily, this is almost the reason why she won in court for as much as she got. She refuses to take any of this alimony payment that he gives her when he finally does send it. Instead, she goes to court and actually gets an actual settlement. Thank goodness for her, seriously. Years of therapy later, and she just is now back on the internet after being bullied off, and has publicly stated in videos that Jax, crap, I already forgot his name, James Jackson, has publicly stated in videos that he preferred her sister, who was much younger at the time, quote unquote 15 while it was 18, and allegedly tried to make out with her at a party, and stayed in contact with her, and he literally begged her to make videos in New Mexico. And if you notice, New Mexico, that's where Lanybot used to live. So he was in contact with Sky's sister all the way up until he married Kai, like literally the week before. It's so,
What?
yeah,
Wow.
it's so bizarre.
This guy does not understand loyalty or the concept of loyalty, or
Oh no.
permissible loyalty, like where you, even if you're in a polygamous relationship, there are certain boundaries and rules that you set. He has no idea about it. He's so oblivious. My goodness.
No,
Or
he either
he's
doesn't know or he
very-
doesn't care.
Yeah, or
I
he's-
think he doesn't care.
He's specifically being very manipulative. So
Yeah,
it's like
sociopathic.
I'm controlling this person and I'm gonna talk in the background to other people in that person's life to try and screw that person over or to try and control that person. In-laws do this. This is something that you see fairly commonly in a controlling mother-in-law, or in any kind of multi-leveled relationship like that, where you've got like a parent who's trying to control their kid, or if you've got even a kid trying to, it can go both ways. It can be a kid trying to control their parent. You see that a lot in like divorced families. You'll see the kid goes and asks one parent and not this parent, or is telling this parent one thing and this parent the other thing because they're trying to control the situation. Kawasa for 5 says, "Yay! Yay! Manipulation!"
I don't know what we're yaying, but yay!
Yay!
Rude, right? What a jerk.
Oh, it's disgusting. It's so disgusting.
But yeah.
All right.
The
So that's
taste
the end
of
of
my
this.
coffee just changed. Like,
Ugh, I hate those. Like towards the end, it's like.
I feel like kind of talking about this situation is like drinking cold coffee that isn't iced coffee. Like it's not supposed to be cold. It's just like lukewarm, kind of cool coffee that's just like ugh. Ugh.
yeah,
Been
exactly.
sitting
That's
for a
what,
few hours. Yeah.
Got like grainies in it.
Ew.
ooh,
Well,
It's
Brady's
got
out.
lime. It's got lime built up because you haven't cleaned your coffee maker in a while.
Bacteria. And
don't do that. Don't do that.
that's
Shit,
what
shit.
he's limey,
Yeah.
bacteria-filled old coffee.
Yum.
He's
Without the
something
benefit of
that
coffee.
Without the
he's something
benefit.
that
better.
starts with C and ends in double digits of 1 and 9.
Probably.
Okay.
We'll just leave it there. Okay.
Yeah.
Moving
I-
on.
My best translation of I feel like Onision is the fart that means you crap your pants.
The shark.
Oh,
The shark.
Oops.
Who's a
Yeah.
shark?
I think
Oh,
there's a
dear Lord.
rosebud.
He's never been good. Not really.
Feels bad, man.
He's
Alright.
getting worse.
I'm
Yeah.
sure we will have like memes out of these. I'm sure
Oh,
memes
God.
are coming out of these.
Careful, you might regret those someday.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that's what I'm saying. I'm like, uh-oh.
Moving on.
See, I think she's fishing for memes to be made. She wants those memes.
Who, me? Always.
Yeah.
All
Memes
the
are fun.
memes.
Memes are fun.
Yeah.
All the memes.
Ooh.
All right, off we go.
All right. Yes. All right. So the next saga is going to be the Shiloh saga. And if you ever get around to reading this document, it literally goes to O. So this is the most stuff I had to research. She has the most information and the most tumultuous relationship was definitely with Shiloh. I mean, there could be something to be said for like Sarah, but with Shiloh, there's just so much that I have to get through. It is a very confusing timeline, and even I don't understand some of the nuances because the dates are so close together. As of right now, currently, Shiloh is being incredibly ridiculous. She's being a bully. She's saying a lot of stuff. She's almost kind of hurting this whole situation. Like, we want people to know who Onision is, and she's bringing in her ego and all of this other stuff that has nothing to do with it. She needs to be quiet and she needs to let the law do and then have a fit later. You know, we need to get all this information out. We need to stop him from hunting down these girls, basically. So
You're saying she's
Shiloh?
she's detracting from the situation. She's
Yes.
no longer being
Yes.
helpful to the situation.
yes,
Yeah.
that is exactly what I'm saying. That is 100% what she's doing right now. But a lot of the stuff that she said is cohesive and all right. So Shiloh met Onision a couple months before Onision and Sky divorced. So this is in late 2010 to early 2012. I'm pretty sure that's their entire relationship basically took part in these 2 years. But they were engaged after a pregnancy. This is after Shiloh had a platinum hit under her belt and Onion's popularity took off. He was featured on Tosh.0, and that is literally where it came from. So Shiloh was a Canadian recording artist. She went platinum before she turned 16, I think. She actually has a couple songs that I knew about back in the day. And then Onision got featured on Tosh and his popularity exploded. So these two were both about the same level of popularity, and that's when they met. So according to Greg, they began talking a month before his divorce. According to Shiloh, they started talking around 8 months before the divorce. She would have been 16 at the time. So then he confessed his love for her right before the divorce stuff started. Just confessed it out of nowhere. She says that she was completely taken off guard, but very flattered, type of thing. He met her in Pennsylvania when she was 17. He made a point to check age of consent laws. He made out with her the first time they met, had sex the first night. Them having sex this first night is highly contested between those two. There's no evidence that they had sex, but if he did have sex with her, if there was a possibility that it could be proven, he would be in violation of the Mann Act, and that's pretty bad.
No
but
wonder
you
he's
notice,
denying it.
yes, he is denying it. Onision has denied it.
No
So
wonder.
again, yeah, this whole checking the age of consent laws is very he's very careful about that. He'll just do that with most of these younger girls. And then and disgustingly, the first thing he said to her was, "I can't wait to get you pregnant." That was the first thing that he said to her. That is so effing creepy.
What a
so gross.
bizarre thing to say to somebody. Like, what? Why? I don't.
It's
I
for
mean,
real.
an
Yes.
older
I
man.
mean, talk about red flags.
Yeah, an older
Oh,
man
God.
comes to you. A very popular older man comes to you, and strikes up a conversation with, "I can't wait to get you pregnant." I mean,
Oh no, that was not when they met online. That was when they met in person.
yeah, it comes
was
up to you,
in-
like
yeah.
physically. So
Yeah.
you're
Still,
talking.
like,
Close enough. Yeah.
Very, yes. Very specific about that. Because that's
A little early in the relationship.
holy
I
cow.
think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
okay.
if you follow,
Okay, hold on. I'm caught up in this now for a second. So, you're talking to somebody online and you clearly hit it off and you have a relationship. And the very first thing they say when they see you in person for the first time is babies.
let's have sex.
And
I'm really flattered, but
and
get
you're
away from me.
17.
yeah, maybe not meet ever again.
But you're
right?
Right?
But you're
Well, it's
17.
so weird. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's like, okay, I'm gonna be 30 this year, so thinking about children getting into a relationship for me makes sense because that's a conversation that I kind of need to have if I want to have kids or not want to have kids, and I'm looking at dating people around my same age. But at 17, to have an older man come up to you, no matter how long you've been talking to them on the internet,
yeah.
the first thing they say to you is, "Hey, 17-year-old, babies." What? Also, for 5, Kawasa says, did Onision begin his career with shady motives in the first place, or did he turn into a monster somewhere along the way?
I feel like it's his true self is coming out. He was as soon as he accrued power, he started to open
it.
up.
Oh,
So,
wait,
yes.
I am 17. Hold on. As a 17-year-old, no matter how long I was talking to a guy on
No,
the internet,
Shesh,
if he walked
you
up to
can't
me
have
and
babies right now.
Yeah.
babies.
First time I meet you in person, Chesh, I'm gonna say I can't wait to get you pregnant. So
That's a whole other issue.
exactly. Hey,
Why do
can
I
make
feel
it
like
happen.
the answer to that? Okay, hold on. I'm gonna demonetize
I'd love
this
to watch you try.
I'm gonna demonetize us real quick here. So,
Yeah, we're bad.
Ooh.
I'm gonna get us demonetized here real quick. So if y'all are sending super chats, great, because you're paying for this joke. So what you're telling me is come in a turkey baster.
Oh
Hey!
no, I'll do it with my own stuff.
They have the squirting dildos, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Since we're going
Yeah.
there.
You have those special injections that come in.
That is
there.
100% the.
Oh. Oh, good lord.
Oh, Chesh, 17-year-old shouldn't be talking like that. How dare you?
Shesh, come on, act like a lady.
Listen, your
my
guys'
favorite.
tone is coming off as really hostile. I'm gonna have to leave.
Really? This is hostile. I should watch my tone. I'm so sorry, Shesh. I should watch my tone. That was not good.
Chesh, don't you know
I
that
can't
women should not
apologize.
raise their voice to men?
I can't
God.
I can't apologize to you until you do this, and this for me. Sorry.
Okay, does that involve?
All right, but okay, let's keep going.
Okay.
On to other manipulation. Move on.
Okay. So we did the pregnant thing.
Smitty just said, sorry,
this...
one second. Smitty just said, mail that turkey baster to me and I'll mail it back full.
We're gonna take one for the team. So generous.
Alright, let's keep going.
God, it's gonna be my sperm, guys. Come on. My sperm. Alright, so this is something that happened. It was really weird at the hotel. Shiloh and Greg were asked to leave because of the camera equipment in the hotel room, and then Greg's computer was searched for child pornography. It was so weird. It just like it happened in the middle of their stay, and because she wasn't 18 and she was there with him alone and they had, sex, they literally checked his computer for child pornography involving Shiloh. So, God, ugh, the whole thing is gross. All right, so then Greg introduced Shiloh to his fans on April 12th, 2011. Greg and Shiloh lived in an apartment together in Canada. They began living in Greg's Washington home soon after. According to Shiloh, they moved to Washington after her 18th birthday because she couldn't leave her country without her mother's written permission prior. So he wanted her to go back to the States, but he literally could not because she wasn't of age yet, which is so gross.
That would have been kidnapping
Exactly, yeah. During later parts of their relationship, Shiloh would use December 28th, 2010 as the date. She and Greg started dating on social media. On December 28th, 2011, Shiloh made a happy 1-year status on her Facebook. So there's a lot of in the beginning they said it was later, in the later parts of the relationship they said it was earlier. So it's just messy. That's why a lot of these timelines don't match up, is because they literally lie about the timeline in the first place. So, yeah. All right. So, after she moves in with him, she finds boudoir photos of his ex-wife's sister. So that's two people that confirm that that Greg had pictures of his ex-wife's sister, which is just so weird.
I don't know if you guys could see that, but Manya was just like, nope,
Slow boy.
so much nope. Oh my god. So okay, his ex-wife's sister, the one he was in contact with before he met Shiloh.
Yeah, I mean before no. So his ex-wife, Sky's sister. He was in contact with her all the way up until Kai, actually. Like, literally before, a week before him and Kai broke up, he was still messaging Sky's sister. So this goes on for a while. But she finds these boudoir photos of his ex-wife's sister, as well as a lot of pornography. So as soon as Shiloh finds the photos and the pornography, the first thing that he shows her is porn of an anime character getting raped. And that's between January and April while still in Toronto. So I did mess up that timeline.
So basically, when she was a minor.
Yes. Yeah, yes.
Okay, I don't. Okay. Anime porn does not make you a bad person.
No,
looking at porn.
Sending it to children kind of does.
Yeah, sending
That's why I'm
it to
asking
children.
if she was minor or was she not.
That's when they lived together in Toronto and she was still 17. Because they moved out of Canada as soon as she turned 18.
Yeah, the age of consent laws here are different.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the age of consent laws are different.
Okay.
It's like you can consent as a 16-year-old, but you can't be above 18 and dating a 16-year-old unless your relationship existed prior, in which case your relationship can continue. There's like a couple of laws in place so that people aren't like, well, I'm dating a 17-year-old and I'm 21, even though I was of age or under that 18-year-old rule, because our adult rule in Canada is also 18. You're an adult at 18, not at 21 in Canada.
Yeah. It's like that
So-
here. It's just a little bit different per state.
Yeah, and you can drink at 19, I think, is the age where you're allowed to drink. I don't remember.
Good lord.
I mean, I'm not old enough yet. I don't know.
I wouldn't know what alcohol
Yeah,
is.
you drink illegally. We know this.
I don't know what you're talking about. There is no alcohol in this.
Nope.
All
Okay,
right,
so he shows her anime of a character getting assaulted, and okay, all right.
That's
fine.
normal
she
in anime.
describes
That's
it-
regular.
yeah. She describes it more specifically as jailbait anime girl. So
lollies.
very, very young.
It was lollies.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so lolly.
So,
Anybody
yeah,
who
that type
doesn't,
of thing.
anybody who doesn't know what a lolly is a girl who looks younger than they are. Usually in anime, and usually in anime they'll be like, "She's a 700-year-old demon. What do you mean?" And then she's like visually designed to look like she's like young.
Okay.
So like, arguably, I'm jailbait. Like, arguably, I'm a lolly. If you're interested in real life lollies, arguably.
Arguably,
Yeah.
because you're a goblin, and you're
Yeah.
17. Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
But this is
Alright.
clearly from somebody who actually is attracted to kids and is looking to celebrate that. And so people can
I'll
use
be
it in
back.
different ways. So,
Yep.
you know.
Well, I mean, Japanese
It's-
people are
that's-
weird about sex anyway.
I was going to say that's a whole other conversation, I think, for another show.
That's another
Yeah.
day.
I'm
We should
concerned with the
probably-
intent here with this particular person.
Yeah, you're
doing
talking
it.
about
Oh, yeah.
how Onision was already clearly
Right.
interested in dating somebody who was underage, and therefore this is indicative of an extent of that issue.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Especially, just the descriptive words. So, as soon as they leave Canada, he immediately cuts her off from her family and friends. Her record label drops her a few months later. Oh, I just had to rub my eyes, so I lost my place. And
No
that's
touching
because
your
she wasn't
face.
producing. Well,
Sorry.
hey, I washed my hands. I wash. Okay. Gosh. All right. So, her record label drops her, because she's not producing music. So basically at this point she's completely tied to Onision. She didn't have a phone. It was the phone that Onision, gave to her. Her and her mother were not allowed to speak in front of Greg. Anytime they did, he would say it was weird or that they were too close. So sometimes she would have to sneak speak to her mother, but most of the time she just wasn't allowed to.
Wow.
So this is just the beginning of the cycle of abuse.
Yeah, cutting
uh,
somebody off and isolating them. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is like textbook manipulator abuser. That is the first thing that they do.
Yeah. Especially from a senior peer who can give them a different perspective and kind of they might tell them like, girl, you don't deserve that, So the first thing he did, yeah. Oh god.
Yeah, a trusted elder influence in your
Yeah.
life, as well as this financial
Dependence, yeah.
dependency. Yeah.
Number one weapon. Yeah.
Number 1 and number 2 right out the gate. Nice.
So I want to preface this really quick with having a ton of sex every day is not a bad thing. You are not a bad person for wanting this, but you need to be clear about your needs before you meet up with somebody and before you start a relationship. So as soon as they moved to Washington, they started having sex up to 8 times a day. He wasn't having sex with her. He was looking at or watching again, she uses the word jailbait porn or hentai. He would literally lock her out of bedrooms and the studio for hours. He would have her sleep at his chair so he could wake her up to service him.
What?
She had, yes. And
Okay, I
see,
understand if that was agreed, but yeah, it doesn't sound like this was part of
This sounds
any
like a
agreement.
and on
Yeah.
top of it, remember she just turned 18.
yep,
She's
just now.
not there is not this girl does not have a whole ton of experience in what a relationship would be or what expectations to have. Right? So like when you're young, you don't have you haven't been in any kind or very many sexual relationships, or let alone like any other relationships besides parental ones that are controlling, right? You don't have relationships like this very much with your peers, so you have very little experience. So, to dive right into something like this, I don't care. You do not know what you're getting into. Even if there was an agreement made, there is no way that she had any idea that this is what she was agreeing to when she did it.
No, of course
You would
not.
have to be so explicit and you would have to be so clear in that there is no way there would be any ambiguity or anything that they would agree on that might be slightly different. All of this would have to be so straight and but it's not, because she can't talk to her mom. Oh, she's also financially dependent. Like, if it was just a sexual relationship and these other factors weren't involved, I would still be questioning it because she is so young. But with those other factors, there's no way a 17-year-old does not agree to something like this, because they can't, because they don't have the experience to make that agreement.
That's exactly why I would say they can't consent, because they don't know. They can't know. Being a pet is a really acceptable thing for some people with the experience of
Yes.
those kind of relationships. And
In a
again,
specific
yeah.
discussion about
Mhm.
what that entails as well.
Yep.
Yes,
So
and on
that
top of it,
nobody ever feels like they're being
Thank you.
abused or used or
yeah.
anything like that. And obviously she
Yeah.
felt that way.
And on top of
Yes.
it, there's also, like, we don't talk about relationships in this manner, and I don't mean like this specific kind of relationship. I mean relationships in general are not taught to you, particularly in the American educational system. There is no way for her to have the knowledge or experience to make this kind of decision based on where she lived and what she would have learned in this time frame. Even if you were to like spend a week as a 17-year-old Googling it, you still wouldn't be able to make an informed decision like this.
Nope.
Bless you.
Thank you.
Gesundheit.
Okay. She has the COVID.
I'm like lost in my horrified bubble over this. I missed the sneeze.
I wasn't even sure what that was.
Oh, I just want to
It's
vomit.
it's so overwhelming. Like, he had a wife, he had a spouse before, and they had a child together, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
And then he separated from her, but he didn't do it as amicably as possible for the sake of the kid. You should think about the
No,
kid.
they're
You're
not.
separated.
They don't have a kid.
They didn't have a
Sky
kid.
and him never had a child. No.
No.
Oh,
Okay.
Okay,
No.
sorry.
He does
Sorry.
not have any children at this point in time.
Gotcha.
Thanks,
Yes.
Aiden. Yeah.
Exactly.
Thanks,
Exactly.
Sam.
Okay,
Oh,
cool. But yes, so my thing is that he had a partner, and you kind of see, like, how, I don't know, he doesn't care of what it is, that he made her sign a non-viable divorce. He thought that would work. Somehow that would work. Or his first partner, what's her name, Sky, right? She will not go to the courts to get something more. I don't know the psyche behind this, like not taking into consideration law and courts. Like, I don't understand people who don't think about that at all.
Because I would assume, and now this might just be I'm going to speculate on this. I would speculate that he's using what looks like official documentation to manipulate people. So, like, this looks like an official agreement, and you think it's an official agreement, and because you think it's an official agreement, you think it's gonna stand, so you don't go to court because you think you don't have anything to stand on.
Okay, yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's. But have it. Okay, yeah. Maybe later we'll talk about. Yeah. Okay, Nikki, next.
All right. So unfortunately, during this time, she had frequent UTIs because she didn't know proper hygiene for being that sexually active. So I found out that this is actually pretty standard with girls who get into their first live-in boyfriend. They just have a ton of intercourse, and then they get just a ton of yeast infections, UTIs, because they don't know you have to urinate afterwards, and a lot of times you should also clean yourself with water and cleanse that stuff out as well.
A UTI is a urinary tract infection, if anybody doesn't know.
Yes. That is why you actually have to pee after you have sex every single time. That's both genders. If you're a woman, you should do it. If you're a man, you should do it.
That
People
drives
do
me
not tell men.
crazy. That drives me crazy.
Yes.
Drives me crazy.
Okay.
Nope.
And
Don't
don't use soap down there. Don't use soap. Soap
Yes,
kills the
yeah.
bacteria that you need to keep yourself clean. Do
Yeah,
not use soap during young girls watching.
Yeah, rinse
Just
yourself.
plain water. Just
Yeah.
plain
And
water.
I'm so
Just
sorry that more moms
hop-
aren't teaching you this.
Hop in the shower and lay down like this with the shower going this way. And just chill for
Or
like a couple minutes and just kind of like just do a
Yeah.
little whoosh, 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 and you'll be good to go.
Whatever works. Whatever works.
Or like put
Water's
your
best.
hand,
Clean water.
or like put your hand under the faucet so that it creates a stream that arches towards you. I usually do that. So
Yeah.
You
If you
figure it
got
out.
a if you got a
Figure it out.
if you got a shower head that comes off, just pulp it off and just. If you're really
How
that
long
worried about it,
before-
turn the jet part on.
If you have that. And that's a whole other opportunity. You'll know what I
Yeah.
mean. Try it.
That's why I'm like, get creative, guys.
exactly.
How long until the
Ooh.
guys start asking us for video demonstrations to help their sisters?
Do not help your sisters with how to clean themselves after sex, because
yeah.
I didn't mean they meant it. Creepos. No.
I mean,
Good
are we gonna
lord.
have to? We should probably do a sex ed episode at some point.
I was gonna
Oh my
say, and
God.
that's,
Yeah,
and
that'll
that's
be great.
education.
That'll be great for me.
All right, so here's what we'll do. That time of the month, if we don't already have something set up for it, we can do two different halves. We can do a period related, period related and like contraceptive related, and then we can do like sex education, like actual intercourse-y type education of like how to take care of yourself, what to look out for, what to do, what not to do, what's dangerous, what's safe, that.
Yeah, that sounds good.
It will be helpful for men too, because you should know this shit.
Yeah.
Especially if you're ever living with a woman.
Yeah, so you don't bring up your stupid Pikachu faces when it tell you something. And you're like, huh?
Stupid Pikachu faces. Oh, listen, I can't have you throwing out your used tampons in my garbage because it grosses me out. Excuse me?
It has to go in the garbage. What the hell?
To be fair, I mean, like, it's common courtesy, at least how I was raised, that you wrap it up and you don't have to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you have a
Oh,
brain
God.
fart and it happens, I'm sorry. Like, you're a big man and you're terrified of some blood.
I got $5 that says the majority of men think that tampons would just get flushed down the toilet.
Yeah.
Don't flush
There are
tampons down the
women who think
toilet.
that. Come on.
No, no, no,
Yeah.
There are
no, 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 no,
women.
no, no, no.
Yeah. They
Don't
don't
do
read.
that. All right. We'll get into that another day. Let's keep going.
We're good at tangents.
All right, let's move along. In relation to how he did this with Shiloh, luckily she was actually a little bit more open about the details. A lot of times you don't get that with victims, victims don't want to relive that type of stuff, and more power to them. But Shiloh was able to provide a little bit of a look inside of what he was like, and he was incredibly rough, very aggressive, quote unquote, would pull her hair so hard she couldn't breathe. During intercourse, he would call her the B word, or she would call him a slut.
Is the what a B word, bitch?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, this is what specifically what she said. I literally have it in quotations as a
Yeah,
direct
I got
quote.
you. Yeah.
I don't think he has those feelings, compassion, or romance. No discussion of what is acceptable during or what she liked or preferred. It was always what he wanted, and that is so unfortunate. I
And
really
that's
do
how we
feel
know it
so
wasn't
bad for her.
consensual. That's how we know that they did
Exactly.
not have
Yeah.
no discussion.
Yeah, again,
And I mean,
name calling is okay if you agree that that's okay.
exactly.
You gotta
Yes.
agree.
Consent. Can I
Yeah.
call you that, honey? Are you okay? If you don't want, I won't. I won't. I promise. Like, come on, have that conversation. Ah.
Like, for example, like I've literally had to tell certain people that I do like being called names during, especially when we're doing like a scene or something. And they're uncomfortable doing that. Like literally, like they
Yeah.
can't wrap their heads around calling me like names, and I'm just like, oh, that's so sweet.
Oh yeah.
Do it anyway.
And
Get over it and do it anyway.
So sometimes it's like a super it's super vanilla where it's just like, no, I don't want to like grab you too rough. You're going to break, and it's like, no, grab me.
Do it.
Come on, come
My
on.
favorite.
I
Get
got
somewhere
this
here.
up in me. You can
Everyone's
grab
different.
stuff.
Yeah. And that's
Yeah,
important
my
too.
favorite thing.
It works both ways. You shouldn't pressure your partner into doing anything that they're uncomfortable with if they feel like
Oh
it's
yeah.
not in their character to do that. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Fox go. Consent is king.
So
Yeah,
in one of the more
communication.
notable what?
It's like communication.
Mm.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh yeah, that's like the key word when you think of BDSM. It's communication and consent. If you
It's
have
a key word for
neither of those,
relationships.
oh yeah,
Oh yeah.
oh definitely. But
Any
like more
relationship.
specifically with BDSM, if you don't have either of those two elements, it's literally just abuse. I mean, a lot of people have different kinds of fun, and you have to talk about that type of stuff, especially if it goes over certain things,
Right.
or if you like certain aspects of that. So, in one of the more notable instances that they had, this is just far. He stopped in the middle of having sex with Shiloh and shaved her head, then continued. Now,
What?
she at this time she had shaved half of her head, but he stopped in the middle of copulation to shave her head and then just started again. It I cannot explain to you how bizarre that is for me.
That's so
How gross
bizarre.
that is.
I don't.
Yeah.
Especially when it's not planned or anything like that. Like,
It's
It's
all
a
about
bit-
control. It's
Yeah.
just control.
wow.
That's something that they do. Like, if you go to the military, I don't know if they still do it, but they used to buzz your head. They do like this is something that is like they used to do it to prisoners. Again, I don't know if they still do it, but they used to buzz your head because your hair is a part of your identity. So when somebody takes that from you, it's a loss of control. It's a loss of identity.
Mhm. Yeah. And he knew how all of these things would affect her psychologically, but she had no idea what she was getting into. That's what it
Yeah.
sounds like.
Yeah, it's almost like she was 17 or something, 18
Yeah.
at this point.
Yeah.
So a little bit about having your head shaved. There is a kink called humiliation, and some of that has head shaving stuff. So what you do is you defeminize people, and that's part of it. So I
Exactly.
was looking at a lot of defeminization, and just like looking at some of his behaviors, it almost seems like he does that. It almost seems like he likes to defem his partners, and we will get into defeming a little bit later.
Yeah.
But moving on, she had her first grand mal seizure. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just like, so he likes to defeminize his partners, but at the same time, when you look at his skits, he dresses women to put out certain, like, as resemblance of certain stereotypes of women, who are loud or who are not educated or who don't know how to, who wear, weird, who have weird dressing sense, as if for some reason is like he defeminizes his partner, but then he gets into a feminine role himself in a skit. So it's kind of a very weird. like, yeah, connection there. I don't know what to make of it, but yeah, that's what I've observed. Like, yeah.
It is very curious from a psychological perspective. It's like a head you're so fascinated to get into, but at the same time, it's the last thing you want to really understand.
Yeah.
Just
With this
Just,
most of this, I'm just like nope, 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 nope.
Mhm.
So much nope. That's
Yeah.
why I didn't dive
Trust,
this. I was like,
trust,
oh, I'm
trust.
sorry, Nikki, you're diving this? Please, I don't want to do it. This shit.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
God.
he will be a fascinating case study if anyone decides
Mhm.
to like academically study him in the future, like for their project
Especially
or
with
something.
even in the future, especially with all the videos that are out, if they whatever, depending on what comes from this the lawsuits and whatever ends up coming in the future for Onision, if he's ever in like in a psych ward or anything like that, they'll have all of this information, which could be incredibly interesting and could incredibly be used for future studies, for future analysis, for probably textbooks, to be honest. I would not be surprised if this motherfucker ends up in a textbook.
Yeah, same.
I'm
Alright,
sure a
yeah.
lot of college essays will be written. I remember that well.
Well, I mean, I guess he gets what he wants. He'll be known throughout history and immortalized in
He will be
psych
famous,
textbooks.
Yeah. Wow. Whew. Yeah, okay, yeah. So I just wanted to throw out that observation before Nikki continued. So yeah.
Yeah. No,
Oh yeah.
cool.
I mean, the skits are one thing. It's weird. So Shiloh had her first grand mal seizure. So literally this is stress from sleeping in the hallway and crying so much. So that specific time he woke up and quote unquote did his routine. So they basically, they did it in the shower. She remembered he stopped to call her clinically obese, and then he left her in the shower while hyperventilating. So
What?
yeah, he called her that because he was having a hard time lifting her up in the air, and then he called her that and just basically just left. So then he left her in there while she was hyperventilating. Um, Proceeds video, Shiloh doesn't remember me. She lost 3 to 4 years of memory and had moments where she had the mentality of a 4-year-old and several seizures continually. Most of those were recorded, and he didn't call the ambulance once. So he literally said, I don't want to call the ambulance because we might be able to help somebody with these videos. That video is still up on his channel too. It is
Wow, good job,
absolutely
YouTube.
disgusting.
So he's more about, oh, we'll someone else, but I want to help my partner. She needs my help immediately. I'm not gonna do that. Let's help someone else. That's
She wasn't
like
his
the
partner.
No, she was not his
She was
partner.
not his partner.
Yeah.
no, no.
It was
But
his
you know,
thing.
if you're projecting that you're in a relationship or something, you would expect if someone's your partner, they will be more concerned about you first rather than, oh, I want to make an educational video on this. Let's do that. I'm like, what?
Well,
I'm
especially since
curious
there's
how
a
much.
decent chance that he wouldn't be able to ascertain exactly what was happening. Like, he's not a doctor. He's not going to be able to be like, oh, this is it, so here's what's happening as he's filming it. It's not like it would be educational anyway.
Yeah,
No.
exactly. Yeah.
Or he would be
That's
smart enough to make that assessment.
Mhm. But he knows something's wrong.
It's an,
She needs
it's an
help.
Yeah.
excuse.
Call,
Yeah.
dial it for ambulance. Like it's like he's more concerned about looking as like this. He wants to look like who's helping the community. He's more concerned about that image in front of his audience at that time, rather than his someone. Even if it's a stranger, someone comes and visits you, a few drinks, and they start hyperventilating and they go into a seizure on your floor, you will call 111. It's 111 here.
Yeah.
Whatever.
So you will call,
Best
the
case
emergency
scenario.
services.
Yeah.
But he is
Best
more
case.
concerned about what do I look to my audience? How do I look to it?
No. I don't think that's
Which
what it
even
is.
then, it doesn't make sense because I mean, I'm curious how his audience reacted to this and how they responded even after the fact. even a week or a month after the fact, why was there not, I mean, maybe there was, but, like, crazy outrage over him doing that? Did all these people think, "Oh, he did a good thing by
No, I'm saying
filming
he
this?"
was thinking in that sense
Oh,
that
with the most
he.
Yeah,
charity,
no,
well, even with the
yeah.
most charity that is what he was thinking, it
Mm,
still makes him a monster,
On
yeah,
100%.
Yeah, and
yeah.
on a side note, I don't think it was concerned about how he would look to his audience. I think one, it was ego enough driven that he thought he could get clicks and views off of it, which he
Mhm.
did. And on top of it, he probably didn't want the police or the ambulance around, even if he didn't realize that it would affect him so negatively. There's probably more of a subconscious, like, oh, if anybody knows about this, I'm gonna get in shit, even if he doesn't really know
Yeah,
why he would be getting in shit, because
'cause
anybody would see something like that and be like, okay, well, what's causing you all this stress, or what is causing these seizures? Oh,
yeah,
it's the heaps and heaps and
It's
piles of fucking abuse.
domestic abuse.
'cause
Yeah.
that's what they do as soon as when they have you alone in
Mm-hmm.
a hospital bed,
Yep.
in privacy. What's going on at home? Do you feel safe? These are all very common questions that men and
Standards.
women get asked. So, I'm sure he had an idea,
Who's
but
your
just what you
next? Who do
said.
we
Yeah.
contact? And she could have easily
Mhm.
said, I want you to contact my mom and not him.
Yeah.
Also, I would like to point out grand mal seizures, by the way, for anybody who doesn't know, I'm just reading off the Google, so forgive me if I get the nuance incorrect, but causes a loss of consciousness and violent muscle contractions. It's the type of seizure that most people picture when they think about seizures.
The help them so they don't bite off their tongue kind of seizure.
Yep.
Yeah. It's very obvious that there's
Yeah.
something wrong with
Yeah.
the person. It's not like,
Yeah,
"Oh,
Well,
this
if
is
it's
you
weird. She's acting funny."
hmm. If you
Gross.
literally look in that video though, you can see that she's still soaking wet from the shower, and she's still like twitching, and it's horrifying. It really is. It's a shocking video to watch, and
So
that was the first.
he basically had sex with somebody while they were having a seizure because it wouldn't have
No,
been
no, he
completed.
caused it. He was the catalyst to the stressor, and then
Well,
he
yeah,
recorded everything after that.
he was the catalyst to but let me make sure I've got this right. Did she have a seizure and then, or is this a she had her first seizure when this happened? So like they were going
So
through their morning routine and then
yes,
during sex she started having a seizure and then he recorded it, or as they were just finishing he got a
I think
camera and
what
recorded
happened
it?
there was they were in the
so
shower. He made the comment and he left. And that's when she started
he
hyperventilating. And
finished.
then, oh, okay.
Yeah, he finished and then left, and he left her in the shower, and that's when the grand mal happened, and that's when she lost all of her memory.
3 to 4 years worth of memory and had moments where she had the mentality of a 4-year-old.
Yes, yeah.
You know, he's probably into that though.
Ugh.
Hey,
Um,
not a funny joke.
No, but it's accurate.
Is it? And
All right.
so then in
This is rough, man.
am I
It's
muted?
rough.
Okay. So
Nope, nope.
in early July 2011, Shiloh and Greg separated. Um, so this is okay. Around this time, I start losing track of the timeline because they break up and get back together so many times that I just didn't want to include it. So it was unlike their previous short breakups. They had a major falling out, and Greg abandoned his house and moved in with here in LA. Shiloh moved back to Canada. After some fake pregnancy stuff that was just really weird, and even more breakups, they got back together, and were apparently actively trying to get pregnant, and they were engaged. On October 27th, 2011, Shiloh and Greg announced they were expecting through their Facebook fan pages. On December 8th, 2011, Shiloh made a Facebook status. So he went to go listen to the baby's heartbeat today, and she couldn't hear anything. So she did an ultrasound. It's the size of a 5-week-old pregnancy, and I'm supposed to be 12 weeks. She said, my baby is most likely past 6 weeks ago, and now I am just waiting for my body to release it. So during the time when they knew they were pregnant, he took her to $5,000 a day doulas. He encourages everybody to have a natural birth because women are built to push babies out and not be cut up so doctors can rush home to play golf. He complains that many women get C-sections and don't know the feeling of natural birthday days. And then he adds, it's
What?
a shame because it's a bonding experience with a child. This is like
What?
a whole, yeah, this was a whole video that
It's
he
not
released
funny.
around that time.
It's not that kind of funny.
It is.
That's
This
not
is
why I'm laughing.
This is bad
It's-
Yeah,
women's
I know. I know
anatomy.
you were really
That shit.
laughing. Like,
I think
It's
it's
just
funny.
holy
shit.
guacamole.
This is okay.
Yeah.
So let's break this down one bit at a time. He encourages everyone to have a natural birth because, quote, women are built to push babies out. Okay.
Yes and no. Like,
not every woman is going to have the right body
That-
and right hip size that they need
Exactly.
to be able to, let alone your sexual partner or the partner that you're having a baby with. You may or may not end up with the right kind of genetics to fit the baby, because you could have a giant baby.
Yeah. Like, what if it's
So many
more than
things.
one baby and your woman, like your partner is tiny, teeny tiny? Oh yeah. Has he heard that sometimes when women are pushing, they tear? Like, has he heard has he heard the term tearing?
Oh, I'd
Like-
love to hear what he would think about that. You know, when she's all messed up down there for a little while and he can't have his fun, he'd probably blame her for it.
No, he'd probably have his fun
Probably.
anyway.
Yeah, he will
yeah,
just
yeah.
shut himself in his room and watch, what's that? Jailbait, whatever it is. Yeah.
This, you know what? This is a really
Fucking
bad example. I feel bad for the hentai. I feel bad for that this is the person watching the hentai and this is how people are getting acclimatized to that hentai exists.
Yeah.
I mean gentai, I mean
Yeah.
GNTOA, I mean whatever you want to call it because we're demonetized anyway. Because I made a cum joke in a turkey baster earlier. Anyway.
Oh man.
Okay, and not to be cut up so doctors can rush home to play golf. Babies cut up women, by the way. But I'm assuming he means a C-section. C-section isn't any faster, asshole.
No.
Yeah, it's more complex. Like, there's so many body parts internally that you have to rearrange back and put back. And yeah, the amount of blood loss that's there, it's I was born through C-section, you MFer. My brother was born through C-section because there were complications. A woman's life might be in danger. That's why she might need a C-section. What?
It's one more. I'm going to go out on a limb and say it's one more way that he can have control because he likes to hurt women or girls. So this is a way, not only does he force her to go through the pregnancy, but then forces her through the really agonizing physical pain of the natural birth, even if it could be worse, even if it could kill her. Like he said, women should have that experience. He likes the idea of women
Yeah.
being in pain.
If
There's
ever
there's
give
quite a
birth,
limb
I'm
there.
not having. No, thank you
Yeah.
very much.
I'm crazy.
There's
But
there is something to also be said for the pregnancy causes PTSD for some women.
Yeah.
Like, it will traumatize you. It is one of the most physically straining things most women will ever go through in their lives.
I could go on about that.
Right, and this is like, some people choose to do it with drugs. Some people choose to do it without drugs. Some people make that decision in the midst of being like, oh, you know what? No, I'm gonna do it then. Oh my god, nope. Give me, morphine me up, man. Get me out of here.
Yeah.
This is a terrible
Get
experience.
in my veins.
It's a
Like, it's a-
bonding experience. What the? Like, so
Yep.
those 9 months that the woman was like going through the gestation period and all that, that wasn't bonding at all, right?
No,
That was
no.
nothing.
No.
You have to
Oh, that's not
suffer.
Good.
Yeah,
It's not good
all
enough
that
for old Greggy Poo.
her back, her
Can somebody
spine almost like burst out of her back. Nah, that wasn't a bonding experience.
I feel like somebody
Gosh.
just needs to shove a watermelon up his ass. It's a
Yeah.
bonding
Oh.
experience.
Yes, please.
With
Yes.
your food.
You'd have such a line of volunteers for that.
I don't think
would
that
run
you-
out of watermelon.
I don't think you appreciate the people who make your food well enough. You know, the woman that you've got that's cooking for you. So let's just shove this up
Is
your
that
ass.
video
and
still
It'll be a
up?
bonding experience.
Is that video still up somewhere? Can I download it? Do this. It's your bone.
It's a shame because it's a
It's-
bonding
he-
experience. Get the fuck out of here.
He sounds like a total, like an incel. You know, he sounds like one of those incels.
Yeah,
Aw.
Like
like
women, natural birth, that's what they're meant to do, and blah blah shit. Oh god.
I need them to pop out a baby, and I need to be able to watch and film it for educational purpose, and totally not because I'm just jacking off to the idea of young women going through pain. That's definitely his kink. His kink. I think Sweet nailed it. I think it's I like seeing young women or girls in pain, and it's even better if I'm the one who caused it. I agree with Sweet. I think she's just nailed that on the head 100%. Right there.
Oh, I think so. I found it.
Hey, cool, thanks. We figured out what it is. We're done here. Okay, bye. I'm kidding. I'm joking. Let's go on.
Oh, jeez. Okay. So, after that whole weirdness, so all of those quotes actually come directly from a video that he actually released on it. So go watch that if you can find it. I have no idea where it is.
I just found out 2 videos that he has made. How to give birth to a baby, and in brackets it's how do people do it, ? And then there's another one. Why does making love induce labor? What?
Gross.
Why does making love induce labor? Like, what?
So I have heard of I'm late, like my baby isn't cut, like my baby is late, and it is, you can have sex to, I don't know, pop the bubble, I guess. I haven't looked into enough of like I've heard that float around, but I've never actually checked to see if that's actually something that's accurate, because I've never heard a doctor say it.
Well,
no.
I've been there.
Yes.
As someone who's been through the process, my doctor said that sex can encourage labor. It's not really a pop the bubble kind of a thing, but it's more stimulating everything inside to start contracting and get there. But it's not like you don't break the water with the penis. That's not what's happening.
Yeah, I think that's like that's the whole where the thought comes from. I bet.
Gynecologist at one point. Holy crap.
Yeah.
It's exhausting, man. Nikki, I don't know how you got all this information together. Seriously.
I literally listened to like it only took me like 3 days. Couple
That's
hours.
That's long to be
day.
talking about Onision shit.
It's a lot of heavy stuff. It's a lot. I mean, kudos.
I was just like,
it just takes a toll listening to it. Like it affects you like emotionally and psychologically. It gets you, man.
It's just
it makes me angry, but like I'm so used to stuff like this. Like I grew up in a very abusive home, so I've been exposed to a lot of like horrible shit. You know?
Yeah.
Like I know that it happens, and a little bit of it has happened to me and my sisters. So you know, it's never anything that's like super ultra shocking because I'm so used to stuff like this.
Yeah, I think a lot of women are familiar with like pieces of this. I think many of us have been through it. Maybe not all of it all at once or all of it through.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, but I think this would ring true to a lot of women. I think they've all
a lot of the motivation behind these actions we've seen happen. It's just different ways. Maybe we didn't get our head shaved, but they did something else to humiliate us. You know, it's the same type of motivation dressed up differently, maybe a little bit more extreme in some cases, maybe not quite as extreme in other cases. But there's unfortunately a lot of familiar.
We've got a comment in the chat that says, from somebody named Jeffrey, that says, I think some men develop a need for women to prove their love by suffering, sacrificing, being corrupted. I've seen relationships end when the woman has nothing left to give.
Oof.
Yeah. It happens. And it's a sad thing.
In short, cover their insecurities, like that fill that big hole in their heart. So they take, and when they think that the women like they can't give anything anymore, they're like, okay, yep, on to the next victim, please.
Some kind of twisted sense of, well, I'm bringing home the money, so therefore what are you gonna do type thing. And it's like, no matter what she's doing, it's not gonna matter.
Right.
Yeah, it's never fulfilling. Never. Yeah.
Shall we continue? Because sometimes it doesn't even matter if she's working also. Anyway.
Nope.
Alright, so one of the last things that happens, so he refuses to take Shiloh to the doctor, so she can have an abortion for the dead fetus. Doctors literally told her that if she didn't go, that she would become septic if she doesn't pass the fetus, and her body isn't passing it, so she needs to have some help. So she literally had to go back to Canada.
What does going septic mean? Just for the audience.
When you go septic, it's basically a full body infection, and I'm pretty sure it's when the infection enters your bloodstream, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe so. Yes.
I think so. Like sometimes, yeah, the urea levels go high and something like that in the bloodstream because of
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
part of that. Yeah.
And it can manifest itself and throughout your body.
You can have high blood pressure that can make things worse, and the baby's going septic. It's causing infection inside your uterus. Yeah.
Ugh.
Get to your other organs, could get
So
to your
much
heart, your
fun.
brain, and you're in real trouble.
Kidneys. Your
Yeah.
kidneys get attacked with first. Yeah. Oh fuck. That's
Um,
insane.
So he literally refused to take her to the hospital, refused to pay for it. So she literally had to go back to Canada to get medical attention. And then she's institutionalized after that. And she still has seizures to this day. In
what way was she institutionalized? Like psychologically institutionalized, or for like physical medical?
Psychologically. So she had the chemical abortion to get rid of the dead fetus. And then she was institutionalized after that because of how poor her mental health was. It was really bad. And then if you do hear Onision talk about Shiloh, a lot of times he won't use her name, which is a form of personification. Dehumanizing again. So he won't use her name, but he will say, the girl who got pregnant with another man's baby while she was still with me, which...
So
it's
now
just
he's
ridiculous.
How is that
accusing her
even
of
possible?
cheating.
Yeah, how is that even?
Well, no, when she got institutionalized, she got pregnant afterwards with another dude, but she was separated from him, so he just brings that up every single time.
Oh, he just
ridiculous.
So they were already okay. So that's ridiculous. That is just straight up. He's trying to dehumanize her and not have to take her seriously or any of what she's saying seriously.
So,
and
it doesn't matter that he was treating her so horribly, all that, so that he could wash that away, whatever he did, whatever he put her through. Oh, she cheated on me. She cheated on me. So
a lot,
what I did doesn't matter. She cheated on me.
Even though it sounds like she didn't.
She didn't.
Yeah. He was just mad some other guy got to cause her pain.
Here's the thing. If you are not equals in that relationship, and that relationship isn't actually a relationship, you can't cheat on that person. If you are married to somebody who treats you like this, you cannot cheat on them because you are not playing their game. Cheating involves both people being in an agreement. This is not both people being in an agreement. If somebody treats you and abuses you like this and you end up sleeping with somebody else, you have not cheated on that person because that person has already broken the rules of the game. Fuck off with that shit.
Plus, if someone's abusing you, you will always obviously get attracted towards someone who will treat you right.
Get the fuck out. Period. Get out. If somebody is treating you in any way, if you're hearing this story and this is ringing bells to you, that this sounds like similar, not as bad but similar, don't justify it with not being as bad, and don't put yourself down in that well I cheated, therefore I deserve to be treated this way. No. These are two individual situations. Yes, you should not cheat on people, but you can't cheat on somebody you're not actually in a relationship with.
Yeah.
Well, it
has to be a real relationship.
It's really interesting. A lot of times, women specifically will say, well, I don't have it that bad. And literally, a doctor was talking to one of her patients who was raped. She had a ton of incest from her sibling. She was heavily abused, beaten. And she said after the whole thing, oh, well, it's not as bad as other people have it. You always think that other people will have it worse. So you don't even
desensitized to it. It's a coping mechanism.
Yes.
They check out. They're and they try and internally justify it so as to not to be traumatized by it all the time, or not being.
Well, it's also it's an excuse to not get help too. It's like, oh well, their time could be used on someone else, but no, you have to go get help for that type of stuff. Like,
It's
just
like because I think so a lot of things do play a part. It's like you're emotionally dependent on that person, you sort of your that's what the abuser has done. They
They're
have made sure that
manipulating you.
all your the self-worth, that whatever you have comes from them, their validation. So you're emotionally dependent on them, you're dependent on them validation, you're dependent on them financially. So when you have so many strings attached to your abuser, yes, you will start justifying whatever is happening to you. Or maybe I deserved it, or I did something wrong. Oh, he will. It's not
battered
always
woman
like that.
syndrome.
It will get better. So it's hard to. It takes time to cut all the strings one by one by one, and it's an extensive work. It's a lot of work. Yeah.
The best
Right.
thing
Battered
that
women
somebody
syndrome
who
is the
is
thing.
the best thing
Yeah.
that if you know somebody who's in an abusive situation, the best thing you can do is not to talk to them about it. Don't talk to them about their situation, because they'll talk to you about it. So you don't bring it up. But what you do is you invite them out for coffee, get them out of that house, get them out of that situation. Take them to go do something. Get a couple of your friends together and take turns taking that person out. So that way it doesn't look like they're going out with that same person all of the time. So that way the manipulator can't be like, hey, this person's trying to turn you against me, blah, blah, blah. No, just one at a time, or as a group, like once in a while, get them out at least once a week, twice a week if you can get there, and then talk to them about their hobbies, things about them, and then be like, oh yeah, no, that's really cool, and encourage those parts of themselves that don't feel valid to them anymore, and you'll see how quickly they get a sense of self again, and then they'll they'll open up to you, and then
100%.
be there ready to give them the help that they need. So whether that be a shelter or whether that be, but you need to get them out of the situation. You can't go and visit them in that house, because that house is their walls. That's everything is there. You can't.
And that's a controlled environment. That's an environment controlled by the manipulator, so you won't be able to do much there. So always show them the door, that there's the door always open for them. Just give them that assurance.
Just let them know that they can always come to you or talk to you about whatever it is. And if you are the person who's being abused and this kind of stuff is ringing bells to you, start trying to open up lines of communication with other people. Even if you don't think you're really being abused, but you're kind of like, this is kind of ringing a bell, or you're feeling uncomfortable in a situation, or you're like, oh, you know what, this is all my fault. Well, you know what, go and talk to other people, especially if you've noticed that you don't really have very many people around anymore. It doesn't have to be going out, it can be online. You just see if you can make some connections with other people and get out of the house, and then when you feel comfortable with those people, start opening up to them and see if they think that it's, because if you're not sure, because a lot of the times part of the manipulation is undermining your sense of self and undermining your understanding about what's actually going on. So have friends, get friends.
Friends are important.
I cannot reiterate that enough. That is so important, and that has helped me so much in my own life and my own relationships, where I didn't see certain things out right in front of my face until I'm like, oh, well, how come other people are appreciating this about me? How come other people seem to think this is a good trait that I have that you think is such a horrible trait? And I'm like, oh, wait, maybe it's not me. Maybe it's not me. And it wasn't okay. Well, maybe not that this person's necessarily even abusing you, but maybe you're just not as compatible as you think you are.
Yeah.
And you're letting yourself be abused or be hurt when you don't have to be. And it's really not your fault. There's so many different ways it can work out. But no, Chesh is absolutely right. Have friends, have people to talk to.
A good example of this is if you're fighting all the time. If you're fighting all the time, it might not be a system of abuse. It could be, it could not be. But if you're fighting all of the time and they're constantly saying that it's your fault and you're believing that, go and see if you're actually still fighting with the people that you know well. Are you fighting with your friends? Are you fighting with, go take a break. Go, like, I don't mean take a relationship break. I mean, leave the situation you're in, leave the location that you're in, go to a hotel, go and stay at your friend's place for like a couple of days and see if you fight with your friends. Do you fight with your friends like that? Or do you not have fight with, or do you not fight with your friends like that? And if you don't fight your friends with your friends like that, maybe it's not you. Is Nikki
Food
back?
for that. It could still be you, but you know, it gives you something
It
to
could
think
still
about.
be you.
And
It's-
that's when I
yeah.
suggest counseling if you can. I know in some situations
Yes.
someone can't go to counseling because their spouse forbids it and they think that there's reason. They don't want to cause that issue. That's a huge red flag. If anyone is
Yep.
ever telling you not to go speak to somebody for your own mental health, that's when you know you need to.
Well,
You got to figure something
in
out.
America, it's kind of sketchy though because there's a ton of people who just don't believe that stuff works too. So
Well, that's different though,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I've been with
Yeah.
But they
people who
shouldn't
said,
try and stop you.
I'm not, yeah, they shouldn't try to stop you if you feel like it works. As
Yeah.
long as you're not asking them to pay for it, then I can understand that gets into a bit of another,
That's a different argument, yeah. But
But,
again,
yeah,
that could be a
yeah.
problem if you're financially reliant on somebody who's manipulating and abusing you, though.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's
Again,
complicated.
food for thought. So,
It's complicated. Yeah.
yeah.
Let's move on, shall we? Nikki.
Yeah.
You
All
can,
right.
please.
So next on this, I don't know if you can show it right now, but this is actually the actual physical divorce document that Greg actually wrote up.
Is this
Wrote-
actually? Is this one officiated? Like, is this one a proper one, or is this one
No,
a
no,
bullshit one?
this is the one that Greg made himself.
Okay, so this is the bullshit one.
Ah! Oh my goodness, let's have a look.
Yeah, it's bizarre. It's absolutely ridiculous. Oh my god.
Oh, forfeits all something ownership rights to Gregory. Oh wow, how convenient, isn't it?
Yeah.
Effective
I mean, I could
immediately.
read that if you guys want to.
Yeah.
Line A. I'll do it. Line A.
Okay, yeah.
Gregory blank. Promise I will take care of. I mean, that's Sky, obviously. Blanks. Housing, food, water, and electricity, so long as no significant abuse of these resources occurs, and blank blank does not in any legal way violate anyone else in the household from December 22nd, 2010 to December 22nd, 2011. Well, I mean, there was definitely some abuse going on, so this is nullified anyway. Line B. If blank blank chooses to live in the same house as Gregory blank blank, he will provide a $1,000 allotment unless this allotment extends 30%, exceeds 30% of his income, in which case he will only provide 30%. This also will expire. So you can only ever have a maximum amount of 1,000, but if he makes less than that, he gets to pay you less.
Yeah.
And that's $1,000 how often? It doesn't say.
Yeah. And
A month.
yeah, and that's if guy chooses not to live with him. So $1,000 for utilities and rent, food.
And
It's
child
per
support?
month.
Is it child support
Yeah.
at this point?
Nah,
no?
there wasn't any child with Sky, was there?
Not
No.
yet.
No, he
Yeah,
did not
okay.
have any. He did not have a child with Sky or Shiloh.
Yeah.
Line C, to be clear, well, yeah, they tried. To be clear, allotment will never exceed 30% of Gregory Blank's income. Yeah, okay, we got that. Line D, if after December 22nd, 2011, blank blank is not ready to move out, Gregory blank will offer another 12 months free housing, food, water, and electricity, so long as no significant abuse of these resources occurs, and Sky blank does not in any legal way violate anyone else in the household. However, line B will no longer be an available option to her. So you can only have option B if you move out before December 2nd, 2011. And this is signed the 22nd, so today. What? Hold on. Wait.
No, so that's 2010 and 2011, extending that
Yeah.
for 12 months.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Blank forfeits all home ownership rights to Gregory blank effective immediately, signed and dated. If blank moves out after 12 months but needs to move back in, so long as it is within within 24
For something. 2 years of December 22, 2010.
Oh, 2 years of December 22nd, 2010, and the above terms are also followed. She may return until expiration.
What? Yeah, right. That's a divorce paper, right? Yeah. All the chicks out there who don't know
Separation
what
agreement.
it's supposed to be notarized, please.
Can I make
It needs to be
can
signed by
I
a
also
judge.
give a piece of advice to anybody who's getting a divorce? Don't let the person you're divorcing make all of the decisions about the way the divorce goes.
Nope. And if they have a lawyer, you're allowed to talk to their lawyer. Lawyers will reach out to you. I've been through this process. It's
Yeah.
luckily I was so lucky that we were on the same page anyways. I was the only one with a lawyer. I had that upper hand, but he was fine with that. We worked everything out. I never stop being grateful for that, no matter what other shit I'll throw at him. At least we had that.
Yeah.
So it was amicable and yeah.
Yeah, sometimes things can work out that way. And especially an
Yeah.
abusive situation. If you're in an abusive situation and you need to get a divorce, get a restraining order. This person should not be contacting you at all, even if it is for the divorce. They should be contacting your lawyer and nobody
lawyer.
else.
Yep.
Yep.
100%.
And if they try to use giving you paperwork as an excuse to see you, they are breaking that. That's them breaking the law, and you should call the police. Because they are not allowed to contact you or to come close to you. Do not let them use, oh, well, but I had to give you this paperwork as an excuse to get close to you. Do not.
No. Yeah. Like, there's nothing that can't wait. Yeah. Sometimes they try and lure you in. Oh, I want to give your stuff
Mail
back.
it to me
Don't
then.
mail it to me, or go with the sheriff to
Yep.
their house to collect it. Don't
Oh,
go
wow.
alone.
Yeah.
Don't go alone. Seriously.
Yep.
Like, not even a friend. Take a sheriff along with and get a court order of everything that needs to be collected and everything. And sometimes I don't think so you have to be there. The sheriff office will collect it for you if you ask. Yeah. So
All right,
yeah.
so
Never get back.
So we're actually doing really good on time. We're an hour and a half in, and this is deceiving. We are definitely past halfway through because there's like a couple of pages. We're on page 5 out of 9, but there is like 3 pages of references. So
Oh yeah, there's a ton of references.
we're doing
As
we're
many
actually,
references as I could possibly
Reference,
shove
girl,
in
right.
there.
Yeah, we're like right on time. So
Don't have to feel so bad about the tangents now.
no. This is what it was for, right? This is what
Yeah.
it was
Exactly.
for.
Yeah.
Because
A lot of good things came up.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of people cover like what Onision's been doing and to cover stuff about Onision, but I don't think people really talk about the abuse part as much, nor do they talk about the kind of the issues and the stuff that we're talking about and how it relates to other people's lives and what things you can recognize and not. Anyway, and Elia 410 says, deep diving this topic deserves more money for alcohol. Thank you. I
real.
agree. My drink is
Oh,
empty.
yeah, that's so nice. That's a kind of you.
All right,
Nice.
so let's continue.
All right, so this is now entering the Kai Taylor or Cool Guy Kai, previously known as Lainey or Laney-Bot saga. They've been together since early 2012 after breaking up with his fiancée Shyla for the last time. Greg tweeted, "Soulmate, where are you?" on February 12th, 2012. Kai responded, "Here." Then Greg DM'd Kai on Twitter, "You really think you're my soulmate? If so, what makes you feel this way?" And this was after Kai was literally commenting on every single thing Greg posted on every single social media site.
So he was desperate and he reached out to a stalker.
Yes, yeah.
Oh,
basically.
wow.
So Greg and Kai began privately. Okay, really quick before I preface this, there are a ton of dates and there are a ton of differences in the stories because they lied about a lot of their relationship. And there are even reports of them having a relationship as early as Kai being like 15 or something. But that was like a weird nuance thing. Greg and Kai began privately dating in February 27th, 2012. Kai was 17 and Greg was 26 at the time. Greg now says Kai had originally lied about his age, claiming to
Oh,
be
how
18 when they were
convenient.
talking. Yes. And
Right.
in early March 2012,
We should
Greg
also
began
specify real
wearing a
quick. Sorry, we should also specify real quick. When they started dating, Kai was a woman, and Kai now identifies as a male. And Helios for 10 says, sorry, this is a little late, but what Shesh said about helping people in abusive relationship was spot on. Take it from someone who wished they had people to do that for them in their past. Yes, please reach out and start building a support network for yourself, even if you don't think you're being abused, and even if you're having a great, healthy, normal relationship, have a fucking support network. It's good for you in general.
Always have your ladies, have your back always. Yeah.
Or your
Even
guys,
men.
hey.
Yeah,
Yeah.
guys,
And
yeah.
if you're a
I'm not
lady,
prejudiced.
you're not crazy if you have guy friends. You should be allowed to do that.
Yeah.
Know
yeah,
the
That was
boundaries.
the
Oh
weirdest
my
thing.
god,
Absolutely.
yes. Holy
We
shit.
can have a whole show on that. I could go off on that for
All right,
days.
we'll talk about that. I'm gonna make a list. Here we go. I have to rewatch this video just to write down all the shit we want to talk about. Okay, sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to confirm that just in case people got confused. So, Kai was a woman, and now Kai identifies as a man, but we're gonna call Kai he for the entire time. So,
Yes, yeah.
continue.
All right. In early March 2012, Greg began wearing a ring. When asked about the ring, he seemed proud to say that he had been keeping his life private. Around that time, Kai began showing off an engagement ring in his Twitter selfies. Kai says they met in person for the first time 2008. March 8th, 2012. I keep doing that. It was later revealed Kai's father did not agree with the relationship, as a normal father would, since Kai was 17 and Greg was fucking 26. Kai was
9 years
banned from
difference. 9 years
what?
of difference.
9 years
That's
That's
of
the
why.
Yeah.
yeah.
That's why I waited till I was 18.
And it's a 9-year difference, and it's not that the 9 years is a big deal. It's that he's 17. Kai being 17,
maturity
is,
level is also different.
right?
Yeah.
Exactly. If you're like 20, if you're 27 and 36, not a big deal. But when one's still in high school and one has been in the working world for 6 years,
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
big difference.
Big difference.
Kai was banned from Greg's home, and Greg moved back to Washington, and they continued their relationship. Oh, I didn't add. Onision moved to New Mexico to be with Kai, and then he moved back to Washington. I didn't put that in there. But yeah, it's weird. He does that a lot, it seems.
He likes to keep on the move.
For real. Greg moved back to Washington and they continued their relationship long distance from June to August. Banned from Greg's home, moved back to Washington. Afterward, Greg moved to New Mexico to live with Kai. Kai's parents thought Kai was living at his college dorm room. And then they finally came out officially in October 22nd, 2012, 6 days after Kai turned 18. Greg and Kai were married through the New Mexico court system on November 14th. Then Greg and Kai came out as non-binary, then trans, then bisexual, and accredited basically all of these discoveries to Greg, who quote unquote showed him so much. And this is where I get kind of contentious. I don't want to say something that might get me in trouble, but I just want to say it anyway. I honestly think that with how enamored Kai was with Greg, with how obsessed he was about Greg, I think that Onision manipulated Kai into going non-binary and then becoming trans in the end. I don't think Kai would be trans right now had he not met Greg.
Well, if we remember, Greg or Onision had been defeminizing the people he's been with.
Yes.
So it would not be unreasonable if Greg treated Kai, similar to the way he had treated Shiloh, then it is more than possible that to justify Greg's abusive behavior, Kai transitioned.
Yeah.
I just want to add to that. Point. I think that there wasn't like didn't Greg like confess something on the lines of that Kai wanted to be a surgeon, but he persuaded him to do psychology instead and spent $100,000 on helping Kai get that degree.
Yeah.
I heard that somewhere. So like
Yes.
so a potential surgeon has been put on a path towards psychology, and they don't practice psychology as far as I know. So I don't know.
No.
That kind of tells me that Kai is intelligent. Like they have a high,
Yeah.
they have probably high IQ, but I don't know about relationship experience. And also,
Well, they're 17. They don't have any relationship experience.
Exactly.
Yeah, you
Exactly.
can be highly intelligent and then also be very easily
Yeah.
manipulated.
Yeah.
That's
And-
what I'm saying. There's
Yeah.
a distinction between. Yeah. So point number 2 about defeminizing.
I wouldn't know
there
anything about that.
yeah.
Sorry. Cheshire knows way too much about my life.
I mean, okay, I have a couple of rules that I go by, and one of them this isn't like a rule, it's more like a guideline. People who are more emotional or more emotionally driven are far easier to manipulate. So if you've got somebody who is very intelligent, but probably does not have this social expectation or experience, because one, they're 17, and two, they were the smart kid in class, and they've latched themselves on to the point of obsession of someone that they've like fallen in love with online, because that happens to 17-year-old girls, because Kai was a girl at this time. To then have that person message them and be like, oh, you're my soulmate, tell me how. To then tell that person to then be brought into this fucking shit show. Yeah, no shit.
No shit. There was another point of defeminizing his partners. There was this chick who was living with them, right? I don't remember her name, but she had
there
blue
was
hair.
Billy.
Yeah.
That would be Billy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Billy,
So-
Sarah, and then there's like 5 other girls
Yeah,
that haven't been named yet.
So I think so. Like there was this manipulation with Kai, so he could get into polygamous or polyamorous, whatever.
Polyamory.
Relationships.
Yeah.
Polyamory, and so that it opened those doors for him to get more girls in, and also he told like one of these girls, because she smoked pot, that oh my goodness, you're a criminal, you smoke pot, you're going to like chain yourself to his basement and shave off his hair and get a what's that called, a tattoo,
Tramp stamp. Yeah.
stamp.
Yeah, I
Talk
get
about
into it a little
it's
bit.
a trend. Him
That's once I
defeminizing
start.
his partners or his whatever his partners, it's a trend. It's a trend. It's a steady trend. When it's happening with more than one partner, it's a trend. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just wanted to bring up those 2 points, and yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and
So-
there
Mess up
have
Kai's
been
education.
People
Right,
need
there
to
have
come
been-
with references like jobs. Sorry, just relationships. You know, you should be able to look at the past. You need Glassdoor for
exactly.
relationships. That would be such a shit show.
Oh
Oh
my
my
god,
God.
that'd be.
I
I'm
wish.
usually pretty open. It like if I'm going to be getting into any kind of relationship, if they ask me a question about anything, I'm usually like, yep, nope, this, yep, nope, this, yep, nope, this, yep, nope, this.
Yep.
I try my best to be as open as possible, but that's not for
Oh, yeah.
everyone. And if you don't feel like you have to tell somebody about your previous relationships, because you don't have to. The only things that you need to tell somebody is say that I'm not comfortable talking about it, or I don't like talking about it, or you, it's none of your business. All of those are acceptable answers. The only thing that you should be required to tell your next or potential significant other that you're talking to is anything that's going to put them in harm's way. So if you have HIV, you need to tell them. That's important.
yeah.
If you have some kind of psychological issue, you don't necessarily have to tell them right out the gate, but if you're going to have a relationship with somebody, they need to know that, because that's going to affect their life and it's going to affect their relationship with you. It's like, if you have seizures, yeah, probably tell people you're hanging out with that you get seizures, so that way they're not like, oh god, what the fuck, out of no, they'll be prepared to deal with that.
Yeah.
If you have severe mood swings, if you're taking like medications, it's good for your significant others, provided they are decent human beings, to know that these are things about you, because that makes them aware of, one, who you are, and two, how to help you if something goes wrong, or three, what they can support you in, what they can't support you in, and to tell them communicate, people, come on, for fuck's sakes. I'm gonna let you stick your dick in me, but I'm not gonna talk to you.
I mean, sometimes those are the best relationships, I gotta say.
I mean, that's
For
fair.
real. Oh
Those
my
aren't
God.
relationships.
True, yeah, they are
Well,
relationships.
It depends how you define relationship.
If both the
Friendship's a
They're a
relationship.
if both
need
the
being
partners are consenting.
fulfilled.
Listen, I'm all for one night stands, or I'm all for having a fuck buddy, but you still have to talk to your fuck buddy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
true.
you do.
Yeah, if you're going to get possessed by a demon, warn them. Yeah.
Hello, my name
Alright.
is Bartholomew. I am the demon.
um,
But anything that has to do with bisexuality, the transitions that he's gone through from being female to non-binary and then trans, all of that is always within the space that Onision told her about it, and Onision helped her get there. And then you have this whole we're gonna get into this next with Billy, but the polyamory aspect, and the fact that she suddenly became bisexual, and now they have another girl in the house,
it was
and she said that she would never
Like
exactly.
Yeah, like how many relationships was she in, because, or were they in?
Yeah.
Were they?
I'm not sure
the neutral
together.
term?
Yeah, there's a lot of
So
weird stuff that went
how
on
much
with this.
experience did they have to come to this conclusion that yes, I am, or maybe we shouldn't judge them by the number of relationships they have had. Sometimes people do realize that they are bisexual or something like that without even being in relationships. But yeah, like Nikki said, it's very suspicious.
It's convenient. It's convenient is what it is. It's
Too
somebody who has
convenient, yes.
it's somebody who has shown no interest and no sign in this before, but then when this when this situation arises, they're like, "Oh yeah, no, I was totally this the whole time." It's convenient.
Well, there's that meme.
And
It's a joke that women are like spaghetti. You know, they're all straight until they get wet.
Hey.
I don't know.
Well,
I knew when I was a kid, so I it's hard for me
Yeah.
to, you know.
I mean,
Whatever.
yeah, that type of stuff is so weird, because it's like, you think it's like, oh, well, women find women beautiful, that's acceptable, and then you like start thinking about it, it's like, wait a second,
Wait, hold on. Wait, hold up.
I feel
Hold
kind
on.
of funny.
Okay, I subscribe to this philosophy, and I'm gonna get in trouble, but I don't think anybody is as straight or as gay as they say they are. I think that every single person is on a spectrum, and I think that, especially with men, society tells them they must be one or the other, or just straight, so they never give in to that type of stuff, and they shove it down, and I just
Yeah,
To me,
I
I
would
don't-
probably subscribe to essentially that every other
Yeah.
primate is bi. Every other like bi is the norm. I think that bi should be our norm, and then there should be, you can then decide or make that decision in life that I tend to prefer men more often, but realistically, if everything was really identified with as bi all of the time, as what the general accepted, then it would be a lot easier to be straight or be gay, because all it means is that I actually just tend to prefer this, because guess what? Doesn't fucking matter.
yeah.
As long as it's
I mean, I think-
consensual and everybody's happy, then there's no issue.
Exactly. I mean,
Yeah,
I think that, of
I
course, there
understand.
are straight people and there are gay people, and they don't really
Yes.
move from there. But I think
Yeah.
there are so many more bisexual people than anyone gives it credit for. And women aren't scared to, do it because it's considered super hot. But if you're a guy and you're bisexual, that's something completely different. It's this dichotomy that we need to break within our society. And that's a discussion for a different time.
It's more of it's more of like we need to start identifying humans as bisexual creatures. Like we are bisexual by nature.
Yes.
And then individuals can be whatever they want to be. However, it's the expectation of like either is fine for everyone. But yeah, exactly. Moving on.
Yes. All right, so this is when we begin the Billy saga. Ooh. So Billy was Greg's current spouse's girlfriend after Greg or James cheated on Kai with Billy. Yeah, it gets muddled in this area too. After Greg cheated on Kai with Billy in 2016, he attempted to date Billy for a brief time before changing his mind and getting back together with Kai.
Oh, wow.
August 19th, 2015 was the first time Onion contacted Billy. Kai has stated that Greg, pushed Kai into being in a relationship with Billy because he would get stuff out of it. Okay, let me try this again. That was a nightmare of a sentence. Kai has stated that Greg pushed Kai into being in a relationship with Billy because Greg would get stuff out of it. Has fully and openly claimed he was pressured into a relationship with Billy and other female relationships. Greg encouraged and facilitated the relationship. The first visit was in early December 2015. Greg says 90% of his interactions with Billy were about how to make her relationship with Kai work as time passed. He continued to encourage Kai to pursue Billy as a girlfriend. They finally had a threesome, but Kai stopped it. The same day he told Kai he was horny and asked to cuddle Billy, to which he admits to manipulating Kai. Just openly admits to it. He then gives Billy a full body massage. Kai breaks up with him, and there's disputes about custody. So, I kind of did this a little bit fast. So, the first time that Billy and Kai were together, if I am not mistaken, Billy said that Greg was telling them what to do, or that actually happened. Like, he would watch them have sex. It was really creepy. And then, Kai is in a relationship with Billy, and it's supposed to be their own relationship, but Greg then tries to have Billy have sex with him, which would break their polyamorous agreement. So the agreement is that Billy is Kai's girlfriend, and that's it. He's not allowed to be in a relationship, but he does it anyway. And he straight up gives her full body massage and then has sex with Billy, and then all hell breaks loose and they break up, and Kai leaves and takes the kids with her.
So in this time, sometime between 2002 and 2015, Kai and Onision have children.
Yes. So it was they had kids pretty quickly.
Or 2013. Well, yeah, it's only been 2 years. So it was in 2013 is when they were married, and it was 2015 that that Billy showed up. So in that case,
they didn't have the wedding until 2013.
Right. Yeah. So they got married in 2013, but they were married in Mexico in 2012.
Yes.
And so sometime in those 2 years, they had how many kids?
2. They now have 2 children.
They got married, had a kid, and then had another kid the next year, and then Billy showed up.
Yeah. And Kai makes mentions to some of the stuff that goes on in there. So yeah, there's like children running around in this area. It's ridiculous. Pursues Billy as a girlfriend.
All hell broke loose when Onision slept with Billy. And then they broke up, and then there was like a shit show.
Yeah. Kai leaves, basically. There's lots of talks about custody and just ridiculous stuff like that. So after Kai leaves, he literally asks Billy out within hours of Kai leaving.
Greg does?
And then, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then asked to kiss her. And then when she basically denies him, doesn't want to get into a relationship with them, he calls her the homewrecker. And then basically he goes on a tirade about her. A bunch of muddle stuff pass, but they all basically get back together, and Billy brings a friend who, after everything, so her friend, Ali, Isla, I think is how you say that. Basically, Billy brought Isla, and Isla was the one that basically broke the relationship up. She finally snapped Billy out of this whole like mentality of her finally getting back together with him. And Isla actually lived in the house with them for a little bit.
So she just had like a bro beyond bros. This bro showed up and was like, "Nah, bitch, I got you," and then got her the hell out of this. She like was like, "Oh, okay, I'll stay in this house to get you out of this situation." That's that is a friend right there. Your lord.
Yeah. So a lot of the stuff gets kind of weird around this time, but she tells Onision
now it
she
gets weird,
smokes weed. Yeah. And then he gives her several ultimatums. Greg told Billy she could not see her family for a year, to shave her head, get a tattoo that said "I'm a liar," get a fake tan, dye her hair green, and shave off her eyebrows, or be chained in his basement for a week with a sign. Greg reads a tweet from Elia saying Greg asked Billy to shave her head, to get an "I'm a liar" tattoo to prove her loyalty.
What the fuck? Okay, hold on. How can I dye my hair green if you've asked me to shave my head, or are you talking about some other hair?
Exactly, yeah. It's these are all different ultimatums he gives her. She can do one of these several different things.
Or not.
He does it in a list. And he goes, "You can do this," and she says no. "You can do this." She says no. That type of stuff. And then the whole chain in the basement, again, that's from BDSM. People get chained up for a little bit type of thing. But she doesn't and he literally says that she's vanilla and boring for not saying no to that, because it would be quote unquote super hot. Like, it's ridiculous. So then Billy finally leaves. She finally gets out of that toxic kind of weird stuff, and then he releases just a ton of super sensitive information about her, stuff that he did not have the right telling anybody else, but he told everybody everything. And like, he called her family lawbreakers for smoking weed literally a year before it was put into law, and all this different stuff. Just I don't even want to get into it. Like, she has anxiety, so she smokes weed for
there's
and stuff.
There's a bunch of sensitive information that was put out about Billy, and we're not going to go through it, and we're not going to repeat it because it doesn't need to be, because it's her business and it shouldn't be out anyway.
Yeah,
it has nothing to do with this, and it just
it has no place here.
The implication needs to be that Greg said shit that he shouldn't have, because he's a deplorable person. Billy was basically bullied off the platform and said that she actually received threats and thousands of hate messages. She's been off social media, and she just now came back. She's sharing her story. There's a lot more with the Billy situation. There's a lot of like just situations about how she left and stuff, and Ilya describes a ton of different stuff. So watch the Chris Hansen interview with Ilya. That one's pretty good. She actually gets more into the detail about the actual break, the day of, and like what happened, and how she finally was able to get Billy out of the house. So we're gonna move on to the next person in the saga, and that's going to be Sarah. And this, honestly, to me, this is one of the most disgusting parts of the saga. There's a lot of really gross stuff, as you probably could tell in this, but Sarah just the cake. She's the one who broke the dam finally, and I am so happy for her. And the fact that she got away from them after being groomed for so long, it's just it blows my mind. She is the epitome of strength. I love Sarah so much, and I give nothing but support to her. So Sarah took up legal guardianship Wait, what? No. So
Of
Kai
Sarah.
got legal guardianship of Sarah after she found out that her family life was quote unquote horrible. Her mother actually gave them custody. I mean, honestly, if you look at the whole situation, I don't really blame the mother as much. The mother does not have a stable situation. There's a lot of abuse going on, allegedly. And then these older people who run a YouTube channel want to take her on, so the mother says yes, basically.
Oh, they probably made her a decent number of promises about she's gonna make money,
Exactly.
she's gonna be famous, we're gonna
Yeah.
blah, 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 blah.
And it wasn't Greg taking guardianship of Sarah, it was Kai. So, I would definitely trust a woman over a man, and I hear a lot of the stuff that happened with Sarah's mother happened through Kai, and Greg wasn't as involved. So during this time in her life,
Oh
Sarah
no,
was
he just
incredibly
wasn't he
depressed.
just wasn't the face. He was definitely involved.
Yes. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, of course.
Someone was
Yeah,
pulling the strings.
of course. That's all he does is pull strings. So during this time, Sarah was incredibly depressed, had considered committing suicide. And this is a direct quote: "I wanted anything good to happen, and this, the first contact, seemed like it." Um, she thought of the whole entire thing like a friendship. Kai is going to be my new best friend. That's what she said. The first message from Kai was, "How old are you?" She said, "I am 14," and Kai said, "Oh, I thought you were older." And then she waited until she was 16 to bring her to Washington because that's the age of consent in Washington, of
Wow.
course. Yeah,
That's so convenient,
but
isn't it?
exactly. But nudes were traded. Kai sends pictures of himself without tops, without bottoms on, and actually receives nudes from Sarah when she was 14 to 16. This happened the entire time. She's receiving nudes
Oh
from him.
dear.
September 15th, 2016, Sarah visits Greg and Kai for the first time. Sometime after, Sarah would confide her tumultuous home life to Kai, which resulted in an invitation for her to come and live with this couple. Like, that. Come on, like, that is such manipulation. Like, just infuriates
This is also
me.
Blatantly predatory.
This is just after
Exactly.
This is just after Billy too. Also.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, this is during Billy. This is
What?
a little bit.
Gotcha.
It's like in the middle of Billy, and then this is Sarah. Like 2016. That was like when Billy was invited into a relationship. August 2015. And then yeah, Billy was still involved a little bit with them, and Sarah, of course, actually met them. So moves in with so October 20th, 2016, Sarah moves in with Greg and Kai. They have to squash allegations of grooming and inappropriate things, has Sarah lie in a video. Now, the video's still up, and then Sarah has recently posted a video of the outtakes and the screen caps of Greg pressuring her into making this video. Like, she literally starts crying. It's a very emotional video,
I think
especially with
I've watched that one.
I think that's the one
you
I've
can
seen
really
too.
like empathize with what she's feeling. So in the end, the mother agrees and signs over power of attorney to Kai, not Greg, just Kai. The entire
Power
time
of
was quote
attorney.
unquote
Power of
the power of
for
attorney.
a child. For a child.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. The entire time, she says it was horrible. She was being controlled and manipulated the whole time. She did anything she could do to did anything he could do to get me to do what he wanted. So Greg was manipulating her the whole time. He called her names and stuff.
And this
Greg
is
was heavily
Sarah,
abusive.
Right? So this is
Yes, this is all
this is
Sarah.
here. Mother agreed. Blah 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 blah. Is she was being controlled? She being Sarah, not the mother.
Yes, yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. The mother just signs over the legal guardianship, and that's basically the only.
It's
part she
Beauty
plays in
and the
story,
Beast story with a dark bullshit twist where the Beast is like actually a beast.
So,
Good.
Greg was heavily abusive and constantly body shamed her and broke her down, but there was no sexual contact until the first time they had sex. So they kicked her out after she complained about the fact that Onision said that but though when she was 16. They have
Oh,
sex
that
with
that
her.
famous line, eh? That
Yeah,
famous that
exactly.
famous phrase, that booty
That
though.
but though.
Yeah.
My
she
life
literally-
is a story of trials and jailbait. Why do I have a bisexual cellmate? She was only 17. She was only 17.
Oy, oy, oy.
Oh, good lord. So, there's some weird stuff that happens between her being 16 and 17. Basically, she went to live with them, got kicked out, had to go back with her mom, and then came back. And they had sex with her within the week of her turning 18. There's so much that I had to skip over a lot of this stuff. Again, go watch the videos about all this stuff. So she's brought back after she turns 18. One night while she was there, they were actively making out on the couch. Sarah tried to ignore it. They began actively actually having sex directly next to her. Apparently it wasn't anything new to her, so she ignored them. Then they pulled her in and Onion orchestrated what they were to do. This is the first time they ever have sex. She feels used after and didn't sleep. So that was the week after she turned 18. That's what happened. She leaves
Wow.
again and comes back. Greg himself has sex with her again, even though she stated she didn't want to participate in it. She moves away and comes back periodically, both before and after she turns 19, and that's basically the end of that. There's some stuff about Haley, Billy, Sarah, Kai. There's a girl who's only identified as M. And that's all gonna be at age. It's a little bit of some more some more of the underage stuff. Haley was around 14 when she met Kai on Twitter, and Haley still has inappropriate pictures that was sent to her from Kai. November 2016, Greg begins texting Haley. November 27th, 2016, Greg tries to convince Haley to date him alongside Kai. She's unsure of what a three-way relationship would entail and politely declines. November 30th, 2016, Greg once again pressures Haley for a Trinity relationship. January 17th, 2017, Greg and Billy get into a massive fight on Twitter. Elia and Sarah chime in to the fight periodically. Elia reveals that Greg asked Billy to do a variety of humiliating and incredibly sensitive and private information to the public before deleting it shortly after. Kai and Lane have a falling out that is finalized for this event. Greg uploads It's Over, I'm Done, Bye to YouTube, further divulging Billy's private information and things she had told Greg in confidence. December 25th, 2017, Greg approaches M about having a relationship with himself and Kai. After M agrees, thinking that he meant Kai would be in a V-type relationship and not a triangle type, Greg forcibly kisses her with no warning. Greg attempts to advance on M again later in the day, only for her to reject him. Greg screams at her while M holds his son. M is... I don't remember who M is. M is another one of the girls that lived in the house. And she also has
How
an
many
interview with
chicks
Chris
he had
Hansen.
there?
There's been a ton, and only a couple of them have been identified.
So there was a lot of people going in and out of this house. Clearly, there's
a lot of
there's
women.
issues. He's propositioning girls/women about relationships
One
that
after the other.
they don't even know what that means. Like, hey, do you want to have a three-way with me? What's a three-way? If you're asking somebody to have sex with you who is not old enough to know what a three-way is, they're too young to have a three-way with you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What the fuck,
So-
dude?
And I'm looking at here like he's kind of putting up Kai to the front, and he kind of lures the girls into like saying that, oh, you're going to have a relationship with Kai. You and Kai are going to be exclusive, and and Onision and Kai are going to be exclusive. But when they come in to that environment, when they finally move in, he just switches up the tactic, and it's like, nope, and he kind of disregards what they understood previously. He goes, "Oh no, that's not what I said. It's going to be both of us you're going to be involved with." So I think so
And-
that's what he's done.
Yeah, and
majority
keep
of the
in
time.
mind, keep in mind that it's probably also helping in that Kai is, what did we say, 9 years younger than Onision?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not
Well,
like there's
see-
an much older woman than them trying to take advantage. She's just a couple years older.
Yeah. Well, see, with this, it almost seems like, what Golden Unicorn said, that he's using Kai as his face now. Greg is getting older. He's in his 30s now.
Yep.
So he's not looking like that spry young teen that can draw in those little young teenagers anymore.
Yeah.
So he's using Kai, who is a cute boy now, that he can start doing that to.
Oh
So
boy,
I
I
think
never
that,
thought of it that way. Whew.
yeah. So that's another tick in the box of like, oh well, maybe he manipulated Kai to change his gender to start doing this with, because he's
I am
using Kai as bait.
curious. I would be curious to see a little bit more conversations with Kai and a little bit more of what's gone on with Kai, because I think that there is manipulation going on, period. We know that, but it'd be interesting to see how much grooming and how much has actually taken place and how far and how willing has Kai been actually. Like, because it seems like Kai just gave their life for Greg to do whatever he wishes with their life. So
Yeah,
is that a
confirmed.
decision that they made consciously, or is that something that they kind of were manipulated into? And is that what they initially wanted, or did they, like, you see what I mean? Like, so
Good question.
I would love to hear more from Kai to actually see if we could figure out a little bit more
Well,
about
he's
what's
been
going
hidden
on.
away. According to Greg, he doesn't want to get involved in all drama.
Kai is
That's,
crying.
again, Kai is crying, and that's quite convenient. That's very convenient, and he kind of, I've noticed, like when I've seen his last few videos where he's like, "Oh, I'm not going to talk about this again," or I'm not going to indulge in any polyamorous or polygamous relationships again because Caius has threatened to leave me, and we never heard it from Caius' mouth.
Right.
They might have threatened to leave Greg for other reasons, like maybe it was too much for them, or they have started recognizing the signs of abuse, and they're like, "I'm out of here, bitch."
It would
maybe
be
it's that.
We'll see.
And it would be hard to say that even if Kai did say something, that Kai hasn't been manipulated into saying that. You'd have to have Kai separated from Onision for X amount of time before you to be able, with
Exactly.
I mean no contact. No contact at all. You'd have to have Kai separated from Onision for, I don't even know how long it would take, but you'd have to have a professional dealing with them to say, okay, we're going to talk with you, we're going to make sure that this is the case, that you're safe, and then we're going to talk to you, and we'll actually be able to believe that you're speaking for yourself, because anything that Kai says from about 2015 onward, at least 2015 onward, 2012, that was when they got married. So before that, anytime between 2010 onward, I don't think you'd be able to trust anything that Kai said, that to trust that it's actually Kai thinking or saying that by choice and not through some other means.
And then when the point I brought up, Nikki brought up a very good point that I never thought about it from that perspective, that Greg or James or Onision, whatever, the onion boy, what you call him,
Onion boy.
he's
Shrek the onion boy.
Shrek. Yeah, that will be better, but that's an insult to Shrek, I think.
Oh.
Shrek is a gentleman.
I'm an ogre.
Yeah. So, like Greg is getting old, right? And he can't pass himself off as that emo teen kind of thing that he used to do that before, right? And so he's using Kai as a substitute.
Yeah.
And that was really, really, and
That's really
And
smart,
if you
actually.
Yeah, I never thought of it that way. And then I brought up a previous point where when you see his videos where he's acting or where he acts like women, you see he never collabs with any other female, YouTubers anymore. Maybe because they see through the shit and they kind of see the manipulation that he puts up with the female characters that he puts out. Is generally he's trying to represent one of his exes in the past and he's trying to berate them by making them sound not intelligent enough or
Yeah.
um someone who don't know what they're talking about.
Right.
So that's also a very like two different like sides of the same coin, I might say.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So we're
He
gonna
thinks
look
he's
at
a joker.
Yeah, so we're gonna look at wrapping up. I do have something to. Yeah, I guess that's a good point. Yeah, who's Batman then? Is Chris Hansen Batman?
Oh.
So really quick before we start wrapping up.
Well, I just want to wrap
so
up the
it has-
Onision spot. I do have something else that I want to bring up before we actually wrap up the show. So
Say
Please.
something about Kai.
go.
So with Kai, it has been confirmed that he does not have access to the outside world outside of Onision. Onision has all of his passwords to every single one of
What?
his social media platforms, and then the phone that Kai uses is also Onision knows all the passwords
Everything,
to that
yeah,
as well.
everything goes through Onision. Yeah, the only way you could ever trust Kai is actually saying anything is you need to remove Kai from the situation, and quite frankly, the police should be removing Kai from the situation.
Yes, yeah, it has been confirmed too. They've straight up just said it.
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
Holy
is there
crap.
anything
Horrific.
that, like, okay, so what's happening moving forward? Is anything happening moving forward, or because that's up to this point, and what's happening in the future? What goes on moving forward, and is there anything like the police can do or are doing, or what?
So Chris Hansen kind of messed up this whole thing, unfortunately. He had a guy, I don't remember his name, I think it was Valentino. He was actually the guy that was on the streams with all these girls. Sarah sent him a laptop that contained a ton of sensitive information. Kai sent the laptop to Sarah, and it has a ton of stuff on it. We don't know what is on it. We just know that there is incriminating evidence, and they were supposed to take it to the FBI. This guy that's not Chris Hansen did not do that. He kept it in his house and may have basically messed up the entire investigation as far as Sarah is concerned. And then finally she was able to get it back. It was shipped to her, and honestly, that should have never happened. She should have been advised to send it directly to the FBI, and her sending it to this Valentino dude might have ruined the entire thing, unfortunately. As of currently, there was a court case that Onision brought up against the court. He served the wrong Chris Hansen in the right state.
I remember that.
He served Repsion for harassment, and he wore a bulletproof vest to the court case and dismissed it himself.
So what he did was he wasted Repsion's time and money.
Yes, and his money too.
Yeah.
And his money, because he retained a lawyer. He wasn't going to represent himself like Onision did. Which, again, Onision represented himself.
And threw the case out.
Yeah, and Repsion does not think that this is over. Repsion thinks that Greg is just gearing up to do something else. So
that's
he
a reasonable
is basically
expectation.
preparing for that. Exactly, yeah.
That's a reasonable expectation.
And then there was some other stuff more recently. Apparently, Onision got back together with Seer, which apparently Seer might have locked Onision out of his account or posted something. I literally cannot find any information about that. I've heard it said once, and I haven't found anything else. But that's basically we're up to date on that. So.
All right. Well, that's what we know, and that's what we know moving forward. And unfortunately, I don't think there's a whole lot anybody can even do for Kai until Kai makes a decision by himself to actually tell people what the hell is going on. And to be fair, if Kai doesn't want to deal with drama, telling people what actually is going on would be a way to stop that from happening. We do have, I guess, over on the Shills channel, the Uncalled For, which is the other group of women that we love and cherish. I've been on there. I believe Sweet has also been on there. I'm sure we'll probably see these two over there at some point. We've gone over, or they've gone over somebody who goes by Validation Boy a couple of times, and I guess Validation Boy has decided to go after them as well as Bool, their producer, and calling them pedophiles and shit. So
that was the show I was on.
Yeah,
that's leaving over. Yeah.
So I wanted to when I was over on the Uncalled For, I was a Validation Boy showed up in the chat, and I invited Invalidation Boy to have a chat with me when we get Non Sequitur back. But that's been a standing offer. He's welcome to. We can find another third party if he so desires. His main issue was that he didn't want to come on with somebody who didn't show their face, referring to Ilya. But I was like, I mean, I offered first. Yo, at me, bro. I would love to have a conversation with this person about some of their views. I'm sure, Sweet, you would be down.
I extended an invitation when on the show.
So what he's doing is he's accusing people of shit and calling people out on shit, but not actually responding to the many times that people have offered to have conversations with him live because he's a bitch boy coward.
I mean, granted, we did rip on him pretty hard, but with the things he was saying, I think we took it easy.
I mean, okay, so there's one thing to rip on somebody for their their dumb shit and when they're getting shit wrong. It's another thing to accuse somebody of being a pedophile.
Yeah. A little bit of a difference.
Yeah, so I have no problem if he wants to make, shit calling videos and all, but why don't you come and back it up if you want it to mean anything? Or if you want to have any kind of credibility? Bitch boy.
Take you seriously then, seriously.
We're scary women.
You're scared of the whammons.
Scared of the whammons.
Scared of the whammons.
No whammin.
Aw, poor guy. All right, but that's all I wanted. I just wanted to bring that up, that's happening, and we are waiting. He hasn't gotten in contact with anybody. Get in contact with somebody, man.
He might have genuinely gotten.
I mean,
let's give him some charity.
That he's legitimately scared of us. Yeah, he should be legitimately scared of us. Probably because we completely undermine literally everything he says everywhere because he's a fucking idiot.
Oh, shots fired.
It's never too late to change, man. It's never too late. You can learn. We can grow.
Learn. We can help you.
We'd listen. We'd always listen.
I can show you the world.
That's going to be awesome.
Poor boy. Well, Sweet, would you like to go first? Last thoughts?
I need a long hot shower.
Can I join? Can I come?
I mean, I'm already starting the water. Just, the more the merrier. I don't know how many can fit in there, but precious small at least. So
we'll fit.
Oh my gosh. I don't know. I didn't follow this much until recently. A lot has come out in this chat that I had never heard before. So I'm just going to assume, for the sake of whatever, that it's all accurate. I don't have any reason to think that anyone's lying about these accounts. There's too much consistency in how he's treated certain people, unless they all get together and conspired to say that consensual actions were not consensual. It's too much. I hope that the authorities get more involved, even just to, like we said, remove people, talk to people, reach out. They can do it. We've seen them do it before. I don't know the particulars of this case and why that hasn't happened yet, like with Kai, but a lot of it does come down to the agency of that person. If they are so stuck in believing that either they deserve what they're getting or what they're getting is not abuse, they may not accept the invitation for coffee to talk about it. That's a really difficult thing. And unfortunately, sometimes, no matter how much you try, some people just can't be saved. And you can really only do your best. And at the end of the day, have peace with that. Don't lose sleep over it. We do what we can. Reach out to who you can, but don't internalize that it's your failure if they refuse to accept the help.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We got a message from Steve that says, you know not what you ask / want. Steve's showers are 212 degrees Fahrenheit. Yeah, I'm a woman too, dumbass. What do you think my showers are at?
Those are my cold showers. What's wrong with you?
I know.
Yeah,
It's 'cause-
exactly.
It's because
how I
women are
relax.
from it's because we're homesick.
Yeah.
Women are for hell, so we need to turn it up so it's boiling in
Exactly,
there.
yeah.
It's
Exactly.
amazing.
Yeah.
It's how we charge up to do our gynocracy correct.
Oh,
If my
That
say
continuing going.
gynocracy again.
if
Gynocracy.
my shower is not hot enough where it's burning my skin to the point that it's tingly, it's not hot enough.
No,
I have to be
never.
red, like how I was born, and how.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
Mani,
and-
would you
and
like
your-
to Mani, would you like to go next?
Well, I knew some of the stuff that was going on with Onision and his partners. My main concern was for that he was not, you can say, targeting minors, and uh, particularly women who had very less experience in relationships, and he was taking advantage of that. Before, I used to, like Sweets has advised, don't lose sleep over it. I used to do that, but I have decided it's not my quest. It's the quest for those who have been affected by Onision, and we can see that they're trying. Even if something doesn't come out of that, there's an investigation going on, allegedly. At this point, we don't know whether it's going to be successful or not. At least the YouTube community now knows how to recognize someone like that, and in future they might not get a platform like, and not get so long, get such a chance like Onision has got for so many years to groom and manipulate um, girls and women. And yeah, let's see what happens. And my main concern is, at the moment, is for Kai also, because we have never heard from Kai, so we don't know what situation they are in, and his children.
And even if we had, it wouldn't be valid.
Yeah. Recently, I've heard that his daughter had gotten hurt. How?
Oh,
No one
God.
knows. Yeah.
No, we know. We know what happened.
Okay.
She fell into the second story window, and then he took video and filmed her before calling the ambulance.
Oh, okay. Whoa.
Yeah, she fell from the second story room, like a room, a window, onto the ground, onto hard pavement. Because the second story was above the driveway into the what's the word? The garage.
The answer is that Onision has a problem, and it's not just a sexual problem. It is a causing harm to other people because they have a mental issue problem, and it needs to be taken seriously. It needs to be addressed, and the police, there needs to be an investigation, and this shit needs to be done properly. Whatever you're doing online to help this situation, this is gonna be my last word, Mani, whenever you're finished. Sorry.
That was a smooth transition, eh?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, but no, it's fine. Like, so yeah, my main concern is if there's an investigation going on, let that happen. And if you want to be active about it online, that's fine. But don't let it fret you. Don't lose sleep over it. And please make sure that you don't turn into a troll because of it. Because there's a line between where you are being an activist and you become a troll. So yeah, and don't give any attention to him, because the more attention you give, the more validation he gets, and he will stay on YouTube
Yeah.
because of that.
Well, yeah. Keep in mind
Yeah,
that
so that's my
yeah,
last word. Don't
you
give him
watching
attention.
his videos, you're not affecting the investigation by investigating or watching his videos to pick shit out. Let the police do that. If you can ignore him, ignore him. Fantastic. What I will say is, if you want to help the investigation, you can talk about and validate legitimate information. But if you're making shit up, you're part of the problem. If you're like, well, he's so bad, he needs to be taken down, so I'm going to say that this thing happened. No, that makes it harder to take him down. That makes it more difficult. That invalidates the stuff that the women have already been saying. So do not make shit up. You do not have to push a narrative to show that Onision's a piece of shit. Like, you can easily see that Onision's a piece of shit. Like, you don't have to grade any additional information and
Don't
falsifying
even repeat
anything.
hearsay. If you have heard something, don't repeat that either.
Yes, your best
that's
bet.
not going to help.
If it's not substantiated, then don't even worry about it.
Or acknowledge that.
Yeah, your best bet is to talk about the shit that you know. Talk about the shit that can be. You don't even have to speculate. Talk about the shit that you know. Make sure people are aware of that information, and so that way they can then utilize it moving forward. But any conversation about this, other than that, is going to be more harmful than it's helpful. Because if you're adding information, if you're adding your own twist to shit, it's going to be problematic and difficult for and trying to force your views. Now, we're talking about our views, we're talking about our situations to liken them to help people understand. We're not trying to say, oh, Onision is this because of this, and we're not trying to say that, oh, Kai is this because of this, and we're not adding on additional bullshit. We're talking about the shit that has been substantiated. We're talking about the shit that has gone on for sure. And we're trying to use this information to help people. Do not spread bullshit. Do not spread additional information. Don't spread fucking garbage, because you're going to make the investigation more difficult. You don't even have to watch Onision's videos, because the police will take care of it. If you can take away anything from this, it's don't bother with him, because the police are going to take care of it as best as they can. Yeah. And then if you find out that the police investigation or whatever fell through, then maybe pick it back up again to re-examine and see, okay, well, what was so wrong that did work, what didn't work, where did the police fail, or where did some information be so incredibly wrong that shit was able to be dropped. And that's another conversation that we can have at that time. Yeah. Nikki, you get the very last word tonight, since this was your presentation.
I talked so much today. Ooh. Well, the last thing that I want to say is that even being manipulated, most of the stuff that can be proven, unfortunately, happened through Kai.
It's not an
Kai
excuse.
should have enough. Exactly. Kai should have enough wherewithal to understand that what he is doing is against the law and it's wrong. Even if he is being manipulated, there's no excuse to send pictures of your naked body to people who are underage. You know, I have nothing but sympathy for Kai, and I feel like Kai needs some form of therapy, and what was trying to happen with Shiloh succeeded with Kai. And I really hope that she gets away. Sorry, I apologize. I really hope that he gets away from Onision. But unfortunately, most of the nude photos were through Kai. So I will continue to follow this story. Although I do admit that it's so exhausting. There's so many facets to this.
Yeah, it is. No doubt.
That's about it, though. I really hope that justice is served, because this has been going on for too long.
Oh yeah, since what, 2010?
Yeah, exactly. Well, as long as Onision's been on the forum, he's been trolling for young girls.
Yeah, fair enough.
You know.
Well, keep safe out there. Be safe on the internet. Be cautious about who you're dealing with. Get yourself a support system no matter what state your life is in. If you're in a good place, get a support system while you're in a good place. If you're in a bad place, get a support system because you're in a bad place. Make friends, but just be careful about the people you're interacting with, and be aware of yourself and be aware of the world around you. Stay safe during this virus garbage. I thought it would be kind of nice for us to talk about something that wasn't related to that for once.
Yeah.
Stay safe, wash your damn hands, and have a good night, everybody.
Good night, y'all.
Bye.